Hello, my friends. Hello there, my friends. Hello there, my friends. Welcome back to the Random Show episode number 162, I think. Random Show episode number 162 with your illustrious host, AgostinhoZinga, and I hope you are doing well wherever this live stream may find you. I hope you are doing swimmingly. I hope you are doing fine. I hope you are well hydrated, well rested, all that malarkey, well moisturized, and all that good stuff. I really do hope you are. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling fine. I'm feeling nice. And we're back in the sector. Today's show, little live stream, bit late. I had some things to do. Sorry about that, but it won't be super long. So it'll probably be around the 2 hours length mark. So if I do disappear early, don't cry. I will be back later for a further longer one, obviously the next day. But we're just gonna run through as much as we can this one, and we're gonna get through as much as we can. We're gonna talk about as much as we can. We're gonna have some laughs. We're gonna have some LOLs and stuff, and then proceed with our day. But I do apologize to you guys ahead of time. It's not gonna be as super long as I usually like to do them because I have to get on and crack on with some other stuff. But we're gonna get going anyway because some stuff that I've seen over the weekend that I wanted to comment on. So let's not waste any more time and just dive on deep right now. So first things first. First things first. I should mention this is obviously something more for the Taz show, but I have got some new books that I'm reading this month. So for those of you wondering, I've got four new books I'm reading for the month of November going forward, which are the ones I've got here in my hands. As you can see here, four autobiographies, right? Number one autobiography I've got is the Arnold Schwarzenegger one. It's titled Be Useful 7 Tools for Life by Arnold Schwarzenegger. It's not really an autobiography, it's more so like, Arnold Schwarzenegger's version of 10 Rules for Life, essentially. But that should be a good one. Then I've got Elon Musk's new autobiography to get through as well, written by Walter Isaacson, the famous autobiography. Obviously, did the great Steve Jobs autobiography. I've read a lot of good things about this one. Elon obviously is somebody a lot of people kind of love and hate. To be honest, I've read that this book actually paints him in a fair light, but you do. I think I've heard people say when you finish the book, you do get a bit of an understanding of how much of a tragic character he is. I think some people are saying that this book actually gives a fair portrayal of what he's actually like. It doesn't lionize him too much. It also paints out, his flaws and makes those obvious. But once you finish the book, you start to get an understanding of how he is as a person. But you start to feel a little bit sorry for him at the end of it. So that should be a good one. And then I've also got the Britney Spears books, which I just started reading the other day, actually, Britney Spears. And it's fucking incredible. I have to be honest. It might be one of the most inspiringly tragic stories I've ever read in my entire life. From minute zero, this woman's had a very turbulent and traumatic life. I'm not going to lie. Like some of the stuff that's happened in her family, like extended family deaths and stuff, like when you read about it, it's absolutely wild. So definitely check out the Britney Spears book, The Woman in Me. And then the last one, which is probably the worst one, I think, but I still want to check out anyway, is one by Julia Fox. It's called Down the Drain, all by Julia Fox. Basically Kanye West's ex girlfriend for like what 6 months or something, right? And she got herself a book deal. But I'm really curious to see her and what to read about her, basically get a bit more information about what goes into the mind of Julia Fox and stuff and whatnot. I'm not really concerned about the Kanye stuff, to be fair. I just want to kind of find out more about her, to be honest, because she's a bit of a fascinating character for maybe the wrong reasons. So I want to see if there's anything more about her that I should probably be interested in. But yeah, definitely gonna check those four out. So if you're a reader like myself, grab some. If you're not, then just wait for my review. That's the easy way to do it. If you don't like reading books, you don't care about books, just read other people's reviews, and usually you get a good sense of what the person's like. Do you know what I mean? No, I haven't got. You know what? I haven't got Jada Pinkett's new book actually. Cloud K20. I have to get that one. But I don't know, man. She just annoys me as a person. I don't want to read her words, Like, this whole press run's been so annoying. I'm not really in the Will Smith or Jada Pinkett camp. I don't care for either person on that personal level, don't get me wrong. I think Will Smith's a really inspiring character and stuff, and a great actor, of course. And obviously, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air was one of my favorite shows I used to watch back in the day. But I just feel like the promo around the book was just so heavy-handed, right? The need to be in the headlines all the time, embarrassing your fucking husband online all the time to get clicks. It just felt annoying. It felt too intentional. I'm sure the book is good because I have a feeling like books like hers, they only promote all the messy shit. I'm sure all the helpful things in her books aren't really going to get pushed out there. No one's going to care about it. So I'm sure the book is actually pretty decent, but I don't know. Maybe when I read these ones, I'll get through them. I'll find something to pick up the Jada one, but I haven't picked it up yet. But when I do, I'll let you guys know. But like I said, if you don't care about books, just wait for my review, and I'll let you guys know what I think of it, and you guys can then go from there. So big up everybody that's gonna be on, waited with bated breath on the side to see wait for my review. Yeah, big up KP for the super chat. Appreciate you, brother.
What else you got, Chin?
KP basically saying shut up about the books and start fucking getting on dunking on Brendan. Okay, I get it, KP. I get it. I tried to come on here with some fucking intellectuals. KP is like, nah, fuck all that shit. Start dunking on comedians. I don't care about your books. I love it. Honestly, this is why I love my chat the best. You guys are always brutally honest with me, innit? What else you got, Chin? That's so rude. So dismissive. Like, okay, shut the fuck up about your books. Anyway, big up KP. Big up KP. Be like, no one cares, though. We don't care about your books, bro. We don't care. Your books mean nothing to us. Okay, cool. Understood, guys. Understood. To be fair, I should have known when I tried to share that I was reading the Joey Diaz book on this stream, and it went down like a lead balloon. I should have known this is not the place to be sharing my interest of books, because even the Joey Diaz one, you guys didn't give a fuck about that shit. So I should have known better. I should have known better. Oh my god, was that? Oh yeah, Vagabond. That time you made us watch that Supreme. Okay. Vagabond, you're right. Hands up there. I take full accountability for that one. I apologize. I didn't even give you any. I don't think I gave anybody any warning either, did I? I just put it out there like, hey, here's a random show stream, and here's a fucking Supreme employee talking about racism. You guys were like, what? Who is this man? We don't care. Oh god, I'm crying already. Anyway, let's get on with the show. So many things have happened over the weekend. Obviously the Francis Ngannou Tyson Fury fight happened. I watched some highlights, but I'm gonna watch the whole thing tomorrow. I downloaded it over the torrent, so I'm gonna watch the whole thing tomorrow. But man, big up Francis Ngannou, man. He proved all of his doubters wrong. I think for me, the Francis Ngannou fight, less so about the fight itself. No, sorry, less so about the business, money, him being a star now, bona fide superstar side of things. More so about the boxing, because there was some early footage that came out of Francis hitting pads, and it didn't look good. Right? He looked very stiff. He looked very rigid. He didn't look the greatest when he was doing, pad work in a traditional boxing gym. So I was quite, nervous that he would go into that fight and he would embarrass himself. Then obviously there was the confirmation from Tyson Fury that he was gonna fight like a proper boxing, professional fight with I forgot who the person was. He already lined it up like a certain amount of days or weeks after the flipping fight with Francis Ngannou, which a lot of people in the industry or in the scene were saying, hey, this is quite disrespectful. This is basically him saying he doesn't really rate Francis too much if he's taking a fight soon after that one. So all these little things that are making me think, you know what? Maybe at this level his boxing won't be gonna be the greatest. But then when he went in there and didn't embarrass himself and instead actually won the fight, but obviously got screwed over by the judges, I thought, to me, that was his greatest victory. The fact that he was able to prove that he was on that level of boxing with these, elites in his flipping weight class. That's a real marquee of the sign, especially when you think about, Conor McGregor's debut in boxing and a few other people debut in boxing. The MMA crossovers in boxing hasn't been the greatest. So for Francis to be the guy who then actually competes at that level really well, I thought was a real good credit to him. To be fair, credit to this guy. Credit, of course, shows that he obviously has good boxing fundamentals. I think even K20 saying it here, right? What's Kratos? Someone said what? Who said it here? Someone said something about he's good at boxing, right? What are you saying here? No, but Francis bread and butter. Okay, maybe I didn't know this prior. Then Calculator 20 saying Francis bread and butter was always boxing. Um, but again, maybe from watching the UFC and MMA, I was never that super impressed by Francis Ngannou's ability to box. I thought obviously he had incredible power, but I never took him to be like an incredibly technically gifted boxer in that regard. A lot of his punches look wild; they were swinging all over the place. But obviously, when he hit you, you're lights out. So that's my only impression or kind of remembrance of what his kind of boxing looked like, or what he's kind of hitting people with his fist look like. So when he was transferred over to boxing, I was thinking, shit, it's obviously there's more restrictions there. He's going to be facing something that's obviously elite. I was a bit nervous, but again, credit to Francis, absolutely smashed it. And if anything, like I said, apart from all the business stuff, which is obviously great, he's a superstar now. I think for me, the best thing is that I just didn't want this guy to go in there and get embarrassed. That's the one thing you don't want, especially if you're a fan of the UFC, you're a fan of MMA, you're a fan of Francis especially, or you just like combat sports overall. You don't see anybody going into those rings and be like embarrassed, right? You don't see them kind of not be able to kind of match the levels of the people that are elite. It's just not a good thing to be or to see, sorry, to witness. So I'm pleased that didn't happen. So big up, big up, big up, big up, big up, big up, big up Francis Ngannou. He really is a G, and I really do hope this going forward will be an avenue or launching pad for him to just do more cool, interesting things going forward. And maybe as well, in a weird way, as much as Dana has been a cunt with Francis post UFC split, maybe Dana, because he's he's a cunt but he's still money motivated, he might see an opportunity here to maybe loosen the restrictions and not be such a cunt with the UFC fighters when they want to do the crossover. Because like a lot of people have mentioned, imagine if Francis Ngannou was still on the UFC roster right now and he performed the way he did against fucking Tyson Fury. With all the promotion, with all the fucking, infrastructure they already have set up, they could immediately turn this, quote unquote, victory for the streets over to hype for whatever fight he was going to fight in the UFC again. So big up Khan Artist. Appreciate you, brother.
Your show gets me through the 10-hour night shift.
Big up, man. Thank you, man. I appreciate you for the super chat, brother. Thank you so much. That's the greatest compliment you could ever pay me, to be fair. I've worked many a 10-hour to night shifts before in my life, and I know how important it was to listen to decent podcasts to get me through that period of time. And so yeah, that's the greatest compliment you could ever give me, honestly. Thank you so much, Khan. I appreciate you. But yeah, maybe this will be a roundabout way. It will maybe make Dana White consider allowing UFC fighters to do more of this going forward, and not just have it be the star people. Like, because I think it could benefit them. I mean, if Francis was still in the UFC, this could really benefit the UFC if he did what he did against Tyson Fury and then came back and was able to do some big super fight against John Jones, whoever it was going to be. But obviously he's not there, so he's going to have to do his own thing. Obviously now going forward, it is what it is. But yeah, great fight. Spectacle itself was a little bit laborious. I think I saw some clips around all these little intermissions and shit. But again, it's in the Middle East. It kind of is what it is. Those guys are probably more celebrity obsessed than the US people, right? So it kind of is what it is. I wasn't that surprised by how much of a stretched out kind of event it was, right? There was a lot of padding out of the card. The card itself wasn't too bad, to be fair. But yeah, I'm going to watch the whole thing fully in tomorrow, and I will give you guys a full breakdown of the fight in the next stream. But I'll try to give you an overview of what I have to say about that on that one. So, next. I was randomly browsing. I was thinking to myself, what going on with Jeff Dye? I was randomly browsing online and thinking to myself, what's going on with Jeff Dye? Because I remember I read an article recently about him being charged with a DUI, right? And from the sounds of the article, it seemed like he had clearly an issue with the amount of drinking he was doing, because I think it says some issues about him being in trouble about drinking prior and blah, 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 blah. Then I quickly went to check out his Instagram, and I have to be fair, I have to be honest with the guy. He's just powering through like nothing's happening. He's obviously got recent uploads on his flipping Instagram stories over there, as you can see. He's still posting on his Instagram as usual. Like, nothing has really stopped. And I think that might be the best way to deal with these sort of things, right? You get charged with a DUI and stuff, and instead of burrowing down and hiding, you might also just continue putting out content and acting like nothing ever happened. Because in a grand scheme of things, you're not that big enough really to get cancelled, right? He's not that famous where he's going to get cancelled because of a DUI. And really and truly, most of his fans aren't really going to care. They're not really going to give a fuck shit. So it probably is best that you just keep powering through, keep putting out the content, act like nothing never happened, and hope people kind of forget about it. But then when I was checking out his name on Google and stuff, I stumbled across this article, and I was wondering to myself, man, a good woman, or a woman actually, a good woman, wherever she is, will definitely make sure that your name isn't kind of spoken about in the best way possible, because this lady just reminded people, everybody again, what he was on about. So this lady called Christine Cavallari, who she said, yeah, sorry. This lady Christine Cavallari, who was an ex-girlfriend of Jeff Dye, essentially just blew up his entire spot. In this article, courtesy of the Page 6, it says here, Christine Cavallari revealed that she once met up with an ex-boyfriend for a coffee, and he was arrested for a hit and run in the middle of their date. I had agreed to go meet with someone for a coffee, she said of the 72 hours spent in Los Angeles during Tuesday's episode of Let It Be Honest. While she didn't confirm the identity of the source, it was confirmed that Cavallari was referring to comedian Jeff Dye, whom she briefly dated after ending things with husband Jay Cutler in 2020. The Hills alum 36 said to explain that her ex asked to meet at Burbank in California, which is a 40-minute drive away from Beverly Hills. I text him when I'm 2 minutes away. She said, adding that there was no response. Can you imagine? Dates and get arrested on midday is fucking incredible. When she arrived at the coffee shop, Cavallari called Dye and said he answered all disheveled and claimed his alarm didn't go off before saying that he would be there in 20 minutes. I'm like, fuck you, I hate you. But I waited like a fucking idiot. So 20 minutes goes by, he walks in. The comedian told her he was up drinking all night until 5:30 in the morning and offered an apology. I go, are you still drunk? He says, like he reeked of alcohol. And he was like, yeah, kind of. I'm like, whatever. I'm okay, okay, fine. Cavallari recorded excusing her this poor behavior because he was hot and very sweet. You see what women can do to you? She ruined her life. She's kind of purposely ruining his life. But then she's also mentioning the reason why she excused his behavior is because he's good looking and very sweet. It's like, what? He's very hot and sweet. All these red flags, and you're purposely ignoring them because he's very hot and sweet. Okay, cool. Makes a lot of sense. As they waited after ordering their coffee, the Laguna Beach alum said that the police officer approached them. The cop comes up to us and goes, did you guys drive here? And I go, yeah. And he goes, did you guys drive together? Cavallari said that her ex staying silent, so she told the officer that they didn't drive together, after which the cop pulls her date out of the coffee shop. I can see the cops patting him down. Next thing you know, the handcuffs go on. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Big up, Crash. Appreciate you.
You forgot to mention the sick weekend DJ set.
Yeah.
Celebratory gesture.
Big up. Appreciate. Yeah. So big up, Crash, for mentioning it. But if you want to check out my mix, it's available on my channel now on the live tab. It's test mix number 64. I did it over the weekend, but much like the books on here, I'm going to keep that stuff to the AgostinhoZinga show. So there'll be a full update on that, because I felt like mentioning the books I'm reading on here, although random, wasn't the best audience for it on here. So I'm going to leave the mix for another thing. But big up, Crash, for mentioning it. I appreciate you, brother. Thank you. But that was fun. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. So check it out if you want to check it out. If you want to see me playing some tunes, check it out. But yeah, just imagine this, by the way. Just keep this in mind. So this lady is saying that she was present when Jeff Dye was arrested for the DUI, because obviously he ran away from the scene. So they agreed to link up. I guess the night before, he decides to get blackout drunk. He then decides to drive at night. He then gets, what's that called? He then gets into an accident and he runs away from the scene. The next morning, that's when they're meant to meet. She gets there, he's not there. She texts him. She says, I'm running late. She cusses him out, but stays anyway to meet him. He arrives 20 minutes late, and when he gets there, she can clearly tell he's been up all night, and he smells like booze, so he's clearly been drinking. They have a pleasant conversation, and in the middle of their fucking conversation, a police officer rocks up and says, hey, you're arrested. Midday. I can just imagine how much of a fucking scene that is, because she's saying that they used to be boyfriend and girlfriend. You're meeting him up again against your probably better judgment, and then mid-date the guy gets arrested. That must be one of the most horrible ways to kind of confirm to you that maybe you should never have spoken to this guy in the first place. Like, sometimes when things end, they end for a reason, and this might be another example of it, because I'm sure she has many other stories of instances where she's had little red flags with this guy, and she kind of, again, she ignored him because she says he's very hot and sweet, which is kind of a typical response you hear from these type of people who get involved in these type of situations. Then they keep surprised when they keep repeating these actions all the time. It's fucking incredible, really. Three cops showed up at the scene and put her date in the back of a police car before Cavallari asked what was going on. One of the police officers goes, there was a report of a hit and run down the street, and he matches the description of the guy. The reality TV star said that her ex was not so nonchalant when she asked the cops if she could say bye to him. Jeff Dye just acted normal. I fucking book it. I'm like, I'm getting out of here, she said, and he was batshit. Oh fuck! I don't really know who this lady is. To be fair, I don't know. The Jeffs. I don't know who she is, but she seems funny. The next day, Cavalieri received a voice note from the Better Than Later Than alum, where he told her just got out of jail. That was crazy. Wow. Adding again that he was acting like it was just another day. He was totally downplaying it like it's nothing. So I wake up, send him a voice note like, what happened? Did you get a DUI? Do you lose your life? What happened? Cavalieri said that her ex told her he hit a pole and wasn't sure if he had a DUI after he blew over the limit, had a court date in weeks. Also, she sent photos of the cars, which was totally totaled. I go, you're lucky to be alive, she said, adding that the police report stated that he actually hit a tree. The whole thing is just like, oh my God. But the best part of the moment 3 was when he told her he still loved to get coffee. Big up Jeff Dye. Big up Jeff Dye. He never knows when to give up. He never takes no for an answer, bruv. When Jeff Dye wants to get his dick wet, he will persist, even though most men would be like, you know what? I've lost that one. I got arrested mid-date. I probably lost that one, right? It's probably an L. In Jeff Dye's world, there's no such thing as L's, right? Jeff's name starts with a fucking J, right? Right? You know Wagwan. Jeff's name starts with fucking J. J's come before L's. There are no L's when it comes to Jeff Dye. So he says, you know what? You still wanna link up? Honestly, what a fucking legend. So do you still want to get coffee? I went, no, I'm never going to see you again. This whole thing is just insane, which obviously isn't true. She's already mentioning he's hot and he's sweet. She's definitely going to let him tap it again. You know how it is, isn't it, with these kind of ladies? The fact that she waited after 20 minutes when he first didn't get there says everything about it. And the fact that she was still, I want to say bye to him and shit, like, she's still going to fucking let him hit it. But fucking hell, man. Jeff Dye is a fucking legend. While her date was arrested, her love life is not totally buzzed. Cavalieri said, anyway, whatever. You get a gist, innit? But yeah, big up Jeff Dye. That's the update on him. It seems like, he's really not caring because, like I said before, his Instagram, he's just powering through and pretending nothing's happening. But again, I think this is a great approach because he's not famous enough where it would actually affect his career. I don't think so. And in the grand scheme of things, his actual fans won't actually care. So why not just power through, act like it never happened, and hope that things get better somewhere along the line. So yeah, let's see what happens. Let's see how it rolls through. But that is your Jeff Dye update, courtesy of myself. That is your Jeff Dye update, courtesy of myself. And then running on to that one, we got this post concerning one of Jeff Dye's friends, Chris D'Elia, which is an interesting one because I think a lot of people really misunderstand cancel culture nowadays, especially when it concerns like content creators and podcasters and shit. It really doesn't exist. I think most of us should be aware enough to realize that cancel culture only really does affect people who are kind of dependent on working within the industry. They're dependent on working with corporations, dependent working with production companies, movie studios. That's the only way a cancel culture effort can really stop your career, when a lot of these corporations and networks and stuff will get worried that they'll lose money on you, so they'll cut ties with you. Like, for instance, like, don't be under any assumption that these big corporations or networks have any type of morality or principles. Zero. It doesn't matter what somebody gets accused of. When they get cancelled, quote unquote, it's mostly because the networks are afraid, or the streaming platforms are afraid, that the negativity around your name will negatively affect their ability to make money. That's the only reason why they don't work with certain people. And if that time passes and that person makes a lot of money, they'll make excuses for them and get them back on board anyway. So with Chris D'Elia, my impression was always this: because he did quite well in terms of his podcast career before he blew up because he had already a pretty solid podcast career, he couldn't really get cancelled. I thought that the only way he would have got cancelled is if he had got criminal charges placed on him and he actually went to jail for something, right? Or he went to court for something, whatever that may be. But I think most of the things that he did, that most people that were aware of, I think there are a few illegal things in there with underage girls, I think 16-year-old ones and stuff, but most of it could be classified in the creepy sort of like, scumbaggy type of things, but not all of it is super illegal. That's one of the things that kind of helped him. And I guess a lot of the victims maybe didn't come forward. A lot of the, to prosecute a lot of these things is going to be difficult in the court of law, blah, 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 blah. So it wasn't surprising to me that although there's a lot of damning evidence out there, he didn't necessarily get cancelled in the traditional way. But I still think if you're looking at things critically and looking at things with a close eye, you would notice that he definitely is cancelled. Because if you remember, before the allegations came out, Chris D'Elia was really going places. He was about to be in a big movie. He was training to be a movie star. He wanted to play. He wanted to do a lot of kind of action roles. He didn't want to do the whole comedic thing anymore. His podcast was bigger than ever. He was appearing on loads of other podcasts as well. He had a Netflix special that was doing fucking numbers. He was obviously selling a lot of tickets. He was really, really one of the biggest stars in comedy at the time. And even though he wasn't, maybe his comedy wasn't the greatest, but then as soon as the allegations happened and they got put out there, all that stopped. So the only thing he has to really kind of rely on is his comedy career and his podcasting. Anything connected to TV or movies or streaming platforms like Netflix is gone. He's never going to get a Netflix special again. He's never going to appear on a big TV show. He's never going to get a big movie again, because the moment he gets announced as a cast of a movie, of a TV series, and that press release gets put out on Deadline or Variety, someone from Los Angeles Times, from the Rolling Stone, is going to write up another article about him, and it's going to start the cycle again. Negative attention on his name, negative attention on the fucking studio. It's going to make them lose money, and the thing's going to get cancelled. So they don't want to risk that. So they're going to stay away from him. And if anything as well, if you listen to all these comedians enough, they always tell you, oh, the greatest thing about being a comedian is to be in a green room, the hang. I think one of the other parts is something people talk about as well, when the greatest part of Chris D'Elia's cancellation is the fact that he's basically all alone. It looks like he's been completely excommunicated from comedy. Apart from hanging out with Brendan and Eric Griffin, you don't really see him hanging out with any other big comedian, really. The ones he used to hang out with prior, they've all kind of excommunicated themselves from him. He doesn't really exist in their world anymore. Apart from Tim Dillon firing some shots at Chris D'Elia here and there, no one even mentions his name. Do you know what I mean? Like, so that's probably that's probably worse than getting cancelled by the industry. That all your friends in comedy who were once your allies, once your peers, once your brothers, your sister, whatever, right? In whatever this thing is, they've completely disowned him. And some of them, it's been a little bit hypocritical, because a lot of them probably were in the room when he was doing some of the fuck shit he was doing. But I think if that isn't enough, especially nowadays, considering again how hard it is to convict some of these things, and it's never going to be enough for you. But I do think he has been somewhat cancelled. Personally, that's what I would say. Anyway, this video is kind of funny. Diddler's on the road again, 1,000 seats sold out venues, and the youth still getting inked. It's weird. So I think it's a clip taken from one of these vlogs probably, but let's play it quickly to give you a kind of a brief understanding of what they're saying on this kind of vlog clip. It's kind of funny though because of the black people involved in it. Let's play it.
We are at Chris D'Elia show.
We actually came from Winnipeg to see him, and just 2 weeks ago we got these tattoos.
Oh, let me see those. You both got them?
Yeah.
Yep.
So how long ago did you get them?
2 weeks ago today.
We did it for this.
Chris, what happened, man?
Having daughters, isn't it? But one thing I think really funny about this whole Chris D'Elia thing is that you could always count on a black person to help, to help fucking restore your fucking image, right? You can always count on some giggly, laugh tracky, human lap dogs, human fucking golden retriever black people in the background to make you feel like everything's okay, right? He's been accused of what he's been accused of, and whoever these two comedians are, who are probably on the come up and probably need whatever attention they can get from him to boost themselves and whatever it may be, are turning a blind eye to all of his alleged crimes and are there enthusiastically giggling along and making him feel like he's fucking Robin Williams. Do you know what I mean? You could always count on some black. Look at this guy. Look at that smile. He's probably never smiled at anybody in his family making a joke the way he smiled in front of fucking Chris Massa D'Elia. Do you know what I mean? It's absolutely heinous that these people will do this type of thing. Absolutely shambolic and shameful, or shameless. But of course, it does make a lot of sense when you think about how desperate all these guys are to make it. The fact that, you know, it's really hard to make it out there in comedy or wherever it may be in the entertainment field, that if they see somebody with a glimmer of star appeal who can maybe help to elevate them, you know, kind of, you know, signal boost whatever they're doing, they're gonna fucking latch onto them as much as possible. They're obviously gonna do that. But it's just a bit sickening, you know, just to kind of see this at what. But then when you scroll forward, these two young ladies, this is probably the worst thing about it, right? Because this is again proof that most people kind of, I won't say most people enable, but the majority of people out there really don't care about the allegations against Chris D'Elia, really and truly, right? Especially his fans, they don't really give a fuck. But the really concerning part about it is that he's got a lot of women in his fan base, and clearly they're the ones that should be caring the most about these allegations, because they're the ones that are probably likely to be victims, especially girls like these who look quite young. They should be more wary about what's going on, or maybe should be worried about it, because hey, it could really affect you, but they don't seem to care. So really and truly, how much can you be mad at the situation if the people that are in it don't give a fuck? At some point, you just have to let people just, you know, let them do what they want to do. So if these two grown-ass women, they might be young, but they're still grown women in that regard, think that Chris's allegations aren't that big of a deal, they're going to go to his show, they're going to hang out, they're going to get tattoos, you know, of that Life Rips monarchy thing on themselves, right? And then go to a show and attend it. They're probably going to tag him in the picture, send him DMs, the thing's going to be blessed. Then fair play, you know? It kind of is what it is. It's unfortunate, it kind of whatever, but I think, again, if you're a victim and you maybe were hoping for a little bit more harsher, you know, counseling of him and maybe him going to prison, that was never really going to happen. It was probably unlikely, unfortunately. But I think the fact that he's been excommunicated from his ex-friendship group, and, you know, he's essentially having to only do stand-up and podcasting, which is probably not the things he wanted to do, because, you know, he was obviously angling more to the acting role side of things. That's basically the only justice you're going to be getting now going forward. And clearly he still hasn't recovered from that whole period. He looks 10 years older, maybe 20 years older. He's not as funny as he was back then. Even in podcasts, I was never a big fan of his stand-up anyway, but he definitely hasn't recovered in terms of his chops on the podcast. He's not the same guy. He's definitely not the same guy. So cancel culture has worked in that way. Maybe it hasn't worked in the conventional way, like he's completely disappeared from life. He's not going to do that, because his fans are always going to be the ones that have been supporting him for the most part. But clearly, in my opinion, he has suffered somewhat reputational wise. And also, think about this, right? Think about this. There is never going to be a time, in my opinion, where I think, oh yeah, big up Eric C. Appreciate. Oh, fucking hell.
Manchester will always be blue. Blue heart. Blue heart. Blue heart. Trophy.
Whatever you say. Big up Eric C. Appreciate you, brother. Thank you for the super chat, I guess. Thank you, I guess. Thank you. Whatever, Eric C. Yeah, big up Eric C for the super chat. The less said about that, the better. But yeah, what can you do? Chris D'Elia is still here. Like I said before, cancel culture doesn't really work nowadays, especially if you've got your own fan base. It kind of is what it is. But I do think the greatest embarrassment for him is probably the fact that everybody knows about his kinks and stuff, and the things that he likes to get up to behind closed doors or in private, or the things that he allegedly messages people. Do you know what I mean? All that stuff is highly embarrassing. I don't think there's any amount of, there's not any amount of fucking selling tickets or having a successful podcast that will ever make having people know what stuff you had to get up to the bedroom make it comfortable. It's no, bro, because especially when you consider Chris did well in terms of keeping that side of himself off the streams. I know a lot of people are kind of like doing a little bit of like, Monday morning quarterbacking, whatever that fucking term is, right? They're doing a lot of revisionist history and whatever. But I don't remember a lot of people back then saying Chris D'Elia was giving creepy. I don't remember a lot of people saying that, they thought he ran a sex cult and shit. But once the evidence came out, obviously you could put the pieces together. But I do think he did a good job keeping that away from the public. And he did it for a reason, because he knew it was fucked up. So it getting out and it being public knowledge, let's be fair, he's not going to be happy about that. So let's also count that as one form of cancellation. Like, I wouldn't want people to know about that sort of stuff if I was into it. Do you know what I mean? That's a bit mad. But yeah, Chris D'Elia is not cancelled, but obviously his life isn't great either. So I don't know. So moving on from that one, let's talk about this clip here. Again, I'm gonna steamroll through a few of these because again I can't stay super late today. So we're gonna try and get through as much as we can, as quickly as we can, and then we're gonna move on. I'm gonna come with another stream longer later on down the line. What are you guys saying here? Move on. Fuck your city is zesty, Zinga is bananas. Okay, cool. His demeanor is not the same at all. Exactly, Edward. He's still on Netflix. Yeah, of course, but he's never gonna get another Netflix special again, Teju. For sure, he's never going to get another one ever again. You're never going to ever see Chris D'Elia on Netflix ever again. Like I said, it's not a morality thing. It's not a principle thing. It's just that Netflix wouldn't want to announce him, in a PR release as having a new special or being a part of a cast of a new show, it being on Variety and Deadline, only then to have 1,000,001 articles come out talking about all these previous allegations and shit, and then have all that negative attention on their network and stuff. They don't want that. Have people boycotting and shit. No, they don't want that. They're already losing a lot of money anyway on these shows and stuff. The last thing a Netflix platform would want is to kind of, voluntarily lose money by hiring fucking Chris D'Elia. That's not going to happen. So he's basically done in that respect. And again, he wanted to be a movie star. I remember specifically, I remember I used to check his Instagram back then, and he'd be posting loads of workout videos of himself in his home gym, getting really fucking swole very quickly, if you notice. Remember that? Because he was always really skinny. So when he started putting on a bit of muscle and working out a bunch, he started to look very different. And it was clear that he was having a lot of things in place. It wouldn't surprise me if he was being considered for some very big roles in terms of action movies and shit. And then it all went away in a blink of an eye. So I think that is counterculture enough. He was never ever going to be, bagging groceries somewhere because his dad's a big Hollywood executive. He's from a certain stock. You know what I mean when I say that. So he was never ever going to be like this, financially fucking desolate and shit. That's never going to happen. He was obviously always going to land on his feet, and he did kind of with his podcast and his comedy tour. But when you know that that's not what he always wanted, it's like Brian Cannon's the same thing. As much as Brian Cannon's probably thankful that he's got The Fire and the Kid, his main aim was always to be a comedic actor, and in that respect, his agent finally famously told him that he was going to be the next Tom Hanks. So I think that is obviously always been the vibe, but it didn't happen that way. So when these guys get cancelled, I think their dreams getting taken away from them is probably a greater punishment than any prison term could be, because they're unlikely to go to prison. It's not going to happen. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, moving on from that one. Let's go on this. Let's talk about this one. It's a clip courtesy of the Find the Kid sub. It says he saw the TV show. And again, this for me is another example as to why Brendan is, for me, one of the greatest liars of all time, because he does this a lot, especially when he meets new people. For some reason, he thinks he's recording this show in private. Like this is like a conversation happening in his own home or something. I don't know why he's talking like this, because he's acting like we don't all know him, or he hasn't had content out there before. It's just an interesting weird thing to say. So he's got these two guys who are from the UK, actually. They've got a very popular podcast. I've got their name, but I always see them trending online. They do really good clips. They're really good at clipping themselves, especially on TikTok and shit, Instagram. They do amazing in terms of getting virality, in terms of some of their clips and shit. So these two guys are really popular. And again, I'm surprised they were on here, considering how popular they are. But I guess from another clip I saw, they did say that they were fans of the Fire and the Kid, so they were actually fans, you know. So that might be the reason why they went on the Fire and the Kid. But I think I don't know. I think they're a bit too clouted up and famous to even Brendan and Brian. I think it's weird to say. But let's see the clip and see what they say.
So no one will ever.
That's when you know there's no going back.
Yeah. No one will ever give
Whenever I
you.
see a guy with a neck tattoo, I'm like, okay. All right.
There's no 9 to
That's
5.
a bold move.
He's not going to work at the
I've got
bank.
another. I'm balls deep in anime,
Yeah,
dude.
I'm kind of a muscular nerd in a good way.
Exactly, man.
I want to get one on my neck for my kiddos, but
Can somebody explain to me what getting? Hold on, to pause it. Make it low so the bit rates too.
it's always
So can someone explain to me what getting a neck tattoo for your kids does for your kids? Getting a tattoo of anybody living is a bit weird in my opinion anyway, personally. Remembering them for a tattoo is one thing, but I always thought getting a tattoo of people who are living is a bit odd. Because it kind of feels like a tribute, but it's like getting a tattoo of your own name on your body. It's like, why would you do that when you know what your name is, everyone knows? It's a bit strange. But anyway, people do it anyway, fine. But then getting a neck tattoo specifically to honor your children is very strange. Like, why would that work to serve your kids? Isn't that just more of a thing for you as an excuse for you to get a neck tattoo because you feel like an idiot getting one, so you want to get one so it has a meaning, so no one can kind of rib you about it? Because there is something kind of ridiculous about a man in his early 40s deciding randomly to get a neck tattoo. It's kind of insane. Like, you'd assume, if you're Brendan especially, you've had this amazing career where you've been able to kind of make money from talking. If I was him, I would have done this stuff ages ago, right? Because you're never going to have a conventional media career. And even if you do have a conventional media career, they're going to hire you because of who you are. They don't care that you don't conform, or you don't look like the typical corporate person. So there is no real pressure, you know, or need to conform or be a normie. You could actually get away with having a neck tattoo, a face tattoo, if you're Brendan. You could actually get away with it. So why not just do it sooner? Why not just do it earlier? Sorry. The fact that he probably didn't do it earlier is because, you know, he didn't have the idea until maybe only recently to have it, to get it done. But I just find the justification of getting a neck tattoo of your kids odd. Like, if you're going to get one, just get one and stand on it. No, it's ridiculous. Accept the ribbings, accept the insults, accept the disses, and just keep it moving and act like you don't care. But don't try to use your kids as a tattoo meat shield. That's what it feels like. I'm going to get a tattoo with my kids on my neck. It's like, why do you get your kids there? Are you using your kids as props to defend yourself from getting ribbed because you're a 40-year-old guy that got a neck tattoo? Huh. Anyway, let's continue.
it's dicey.
You just
Why is it
you've been
dicey?
flirting with that idea.
I've always wanted neck. Always.
You should do it, man.
Always wanted that.
Yeah, I sold this TV show, and then I think about it. I'm like, if I'm on
I love how he doesn't realize that he's so fucking dead and late. He doesn't realize what he said was incredibly pause. He didn't get it. But I like how they didn't try and explain it, because, you know, explaining it will take away from the joke. But it was an inside joke that they both got. Let's just get that one more time. I've always wanted neck.
I see.
Flirting with that idea.
I've always wanted neck. Always.
You should do it, man.
Always wanted that.
Yeah,
What's up to
I
you?
sold this TV show, and then I think about it. I'm like, if I'm on TV with the neck, you know. I don't know.
Bro, those times are over, man. Get out of your head.
Yeah,
I sold a TV show, by the way. Press X for doubt on that one. Now, what do you think the theory is? Because there's some couple running theories already I've seen, especially on the Friday Kids subreddit. Some people are suggesting that he's maybe in the process of selling a show. So maybe he's working on something now, talking to agents, talking to, you know, networks, whatever it may be, in the process of trying to sell a show. But obviously with Brendan, he always has to fucking, you know, add fucking spice to the rice. He's always fucking got to exaggerate. He's got to make stuff look amazing. So instead of just saying he's working on it, I've done the deal. Same thing that happened with the Aaron Rodgers thing, right? Maybe there was a situation where Aaron Rodgers was considering buying Tiger Fig. Maybe there was. Let's try and believe him. But maybe it was being negotiated. It was just, you know, the initial feelers, initial conversation. But in Brendan's head, he has to make himself sound amazing. So he was like, yeah, I'm in business with Aaron Rodgers. the deal is done. I'm gonna announce it soon. Like, you know what I mean? Instead of just being honest and saying, hey, I'm trying to work out a deal to offload some of these boxes, these crates. I'm maybe trying to sell it on. I did it already. I don't want to do it. Whatever, just something. I'm gonna lie unnecessarily. So one people are saying he's exaggerating. Me personally, having consumed a lot of Brendan, right, and that's definitely a pause. I personally think he's lying flat out. There is no show, but because he's in front of two cooler, more successful guys in that whole content space, he feels weirdly inadequate, inferior, and he wants to kind of show off and look like the big dog in the room. So he's just made up the story about selling a TV show. My personal opinion is I think there is no TV show. He's just lying. But the mad thing about it, for me, is that he's made up this lie on the spot, because they're talking about neck tattoos. They're talking about whether or not you should get a neck tattoo, you know, if you do content or if you're a certain age. Is it a good thing to do if you're going to maybe go back into the corporate world, whatever it may be, right? They're talking about the pros and cons of getting a neck tattoo. And then he somehow figures out a lie that involves him selling a TV show. That's why I can't get one. It's like, what? You can't get a neck tattoo because NBC or Showtime or Paramount might buy your TV show that doesn't exist. Come on, bro. And the reason why I believe that to be true is because so far, in my opinion, I'm not sure what you guys think, but he has shown no creative yeah, exactly. There we go. Exactly, Z. Brendan can barely form a phrase, let alone say a TV show. Exactly. Brendan has shown no ability to create anything that is like interesting in that level, in that kind of writing or producing things that would give me any indication that he's capable of putting together a pitch or whatever it may be for a show that he wants to sell. It's not going to happen. I'm sorry, it's not going to happen. Like, there's nothing that he's done so far that can show it to me. Like, if anything, the only one thing I can think of that he does pretty well with these shows sometimes, except for the Fire and the Kid, I feel like the set designs are pretty decent. Like, you look at the old King and the Sting set designs. You look at even some of the stuff he maybe done with the Shub show and Below the Belt. They've been pretty cool. How he's basically, and I don't know who's responsible for that. I'm not sure if it's just him working with a good graphic designer or someone to do the artwork or the production or the props for the background and stuff. But that's been decent. But when you look at the actual shows themselves, they aren't that interesting, right? They're all just shows of people just sitting in front of microphones talking. Whether it's the Golden Hour, whether towards the end it was King and the Sting, the Shub show. He doesn't really do anything interesting production-wise that would give you any idea that he could put together a good show and sell it. So I think it's a total lie. That's my opinion. I think it's a total lie. One more time though. It said selling a TV show is fucking hilarious here with the neck thing. Let's go one more time.
It's dicey.
You just
Why is it
you've been
dicey?
flirting with that idea.
I've always wanted neck. Always.
You should do it, man.
Always wanted that.
Yeah,
What's up with
I
you?
sold this TV show, and then I think about him like if I'm on TV with the neck, you know. I don't know.
Bro, those times are over, man.
If I'm on TV with a neck. Honestly, Brendan's the best, bro. What a weird thing to lie about. But again, not surprising. You know, like I said, he likes doing this stuff when he's in front of people who are new. He wants to show off and act like he's Billy Big Balls. But yeah, a very bizarre lie. Very bizarre lie. I've always wanted neck. Is fucking hilarious. What are you guys saying here? So does he like black people or not? Does that black people or not? Oh, because those guys, sorry. Does that black people or not? That's not really a good example, I don't think, because these guys are in like the content space, right? And it's different. I feel like Brendan has a thing against like athletes, you know, like that kind of stuff, especially people that are in this. Because as well, think about these guys too. They're sort of like deferring to him. They're like ex or current The Fat and the Kid fans, right? They're from the UK also. So maybe there's a bit of it's a bit different. But I feel like Brendan has a real thing with being unable to share the room or the space with guys who are athletic, who maybe are achieved more in the sport, could maybe have big personalities. He doesn't really bond well with them too tough. And again, I'm not too sure if it's to do with the whole black thing, but there definitely is a few bad experiences in his. Oh shit! I just realized as well the sign isn't centered, isn't it? I just realized I think there's a few experiences in his kind of history where he's kind of gone through, where he's had some bad experiences with certain people that have kind of informed how he views black people in that regard. But would I say he's racist? Obviously not. I just think he definitely has a hard time connecting with, you know, some of the melanated people out there. Let's just leave it at that. I mean, that's what I think he has in that regard. Moving on. People saying, "Oh, what is that? Was that chilling cooking?" Oh, big up Uche. Big up Uche. I didn't see you there. Wagwan Uche. What's that thing called? He had to cancel the young old bass. He had to cancel the TV show because his kid had the baseball game. You see what I mean? You see what I mean about the Brendan Schaub lies? You see that baseball lie? That baseball lie is so unnecessary. It just shows you how much of a pathological liar he is. Because even if that lie was somewhat true, why would you spin it in a way where you're using your kids as a shield? Because you're afraid people might take the piss out of you because you've had to cancel another tour because you haven't sold enough tickets. Because actually telling the truth would actually make you look like a beast of a dad. Like, hey man, you know what? The shows aren't doing as well as I thought they were going to do. So I'm going to have to take some time back. No, so shows aren't doing what I was going to do. So I could either go through with the shows and, you know, they're not selling well and then just do them and be out of pocket. Or I could just cancel them and then use this time to just spend time with my kids and my family. You can actually spin it in a way where instead of lying, you tell the truth, but you also try and make yourself look a bit good, right? You don't need to lie and just say, "Oh, I'm going back home because my 7-year-old son wants to be a professional baseball player, so I'm committing the summer to him, and we're doing miles. We're running 7 miles at 5 a.m. Like, bro, come on, man. Why are you lying about that? There's no need to lie like that. It's just so unnecessary. But that's Brendan for you, isn't it? Like, absolute funny dude. Oh, mate. Let's know another one here. This episode was released 13 hours ago. Let's see what this is saying. I haven't seen this clip yet.
Appreciate that.
I struggle. I was saying to Fiat the other day. I struggle.
Appreciate that.
I struggle. I was saying to Fiat the other day. I struggle with a lot of imposter syndrome. Sometimes when people will send us in messages like, "Oh, bro, like you really helped me. Like these drives to work and these commutes to work, like it's just the worst thing in the entire world, and I hate it. But the only thing is, I know every Monday it's going to be a good drive to work. I know that for a fact. And that's something that I can rely on every week. And I feel like an imposter because the only time I've ever felt that is when I was doing the commute to work and I would listen to this podcast.
Oh, damn.
Come on.
Thanks,
For real?
Yeah. So big
That
props to you
imposter
guys.
syndrome
Yeah, that
never
makes
goes.
me a little emotional.
Me too. That imposter syndrome never
That's
goes
nice.
away. If it does, then you're a prick.
I'm so glad
It
you said
never
that.
goes away.
So glad.
What? I love when he says these kind of things because he sounds like Rogan. But I don't even think Rogan says that. Whenever I hear him say these sort of like phrases, it sort of sounds like something Rogan would say, but I don't even think Rogan said it in that way. You know, he just says these things because Rogan says them. So he thinks Rogan's the smartest man in the world. So if he repeats these things, he thinks he sounds smart, but he don't actually make any sense. The guy's actually being quite sweet, right? He's being quite, again, I don't know if he's licking ass, if he's lying, but he sounds quite genuine, right? He's saying, "Hey, man, you know, imposter syndrome. I used to listen to you guys when I was coming up, and you guys helped me. And now the same messages the same things I used to feel about you guys, I'm now getting guys tell me the same things." So it's actually a sweet moment, like to be like, "Oh man, thank you so much for the support," because you know they get a lot of hate and stuff. Like, thank you, that means a lot. Instead of just saying that, always the person like, what does that even mean? This, like, what are you even saying right now in response to what he said? Like, this is not the right time to say that. Just kind of receive the compliment. Hey, thank you for that. That means a lot. Honestly, that's who we started out doing this for. It's nice to hear this kind of message. We get messages like that all the time, but it's great to hear someone like you yourself who's obviously succeeded and done really good in this field. Hear it from you is obviously means a lot as well because you know how hard it is to do whatever. But this kind of like weird Rogan thing that he's doing is odd because, again, I'm reading a lot into a 20-second clip, but in a way, that guy is being very honest and being very vulnerable and kind of, let's say he's like sucking up to Brendan, right? Let's maybe say he's sucking up to Brendan. Okay, let's say he's sucking up. He's already sucking up to you. You don't need to assert your dominance again by trying to position himself as the mentor, because that's what he's trying to do. He's trying to give himself like a mentor type of, like, he's already sucking up to, he's already telling you, hey, bowing down and giving you your flowers and saying, hey man, you guys are inspiration to me. You don't need to put your nuts on his face again and say, hey, yeah, that it never leaves you. If it does leave you, you're a prick. It's like, but technically, wouldn't that make you a prick? It's like, what are you saying right now? Like, one more time, let's go for the beginning again, because I don't keep stopping this stuff, but let's go again for the beginning, because this is a really strange interaction.
I struggle. I was saying to Fiat the other day, I struggle with a lot of imposter syndrome. Sometimes when people will send us in messages like, oh bro, like you really, really, really helped me. Like these drives to work and these commutes to work, like it's just the worst thing in the entire world and I hate it. But the only thing is I know every Monday it's going to be a good drive to work. I know that for a fact. And that's something that I can rely on every week. And I feel like an imposter because the only time I've ever felt that is when I was doing the commute to work and I would listen to this podcast.
Oh, damn.
Come on.
Now, again, don't get me wrong. It does sound a bit rehearsed, but again, these guys are good at what they do, right? They're good content. Again, I've seen their clips all over social media. I don't listen to their podcast, but I've seen their clips. Like, these guys clearly do well. It sounds a bit rehearsed, sounds a bit too polished, but fair. It doesn't matter. Put that to one side. Put your cynical side to one hat. Put your cynical hat to one side. He's being vulnerable. He's being honest. He's being somewhat. He's being fucking differential. He's basically, you know, coming cap in hand and saying, "Hey, you guys inspired me. Thank you so much for those words. I appreciate you." And just keep moving it on. You don't need to do this whole thing that Brendan does here now. It's just such an odd way to respond to it. Such a strange way to respond.
Hell yeah.
For real?
Yeah. So big
That
props to you
imposter
guys.
syndrome
Yeah, that
never
makes
goes.
me a little emotional.
That imposter, me too. That imposter syndrome never
That's
goes
nice.
away. If it does, then you're a prick.
I'm so glad
It
you said
never
that.
goes away.
So glad you-
I
Also, as someone's mentioned in the chat, have we ever heard Brendan use the word prick before, ever in his life? I know he says, let's say he's half English, he's half British or whatever, his mum's from here, blah, 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 blah. But have we ever heard Brendan use the term prick, ever? So when a black person comes on the Fire and the Kid, he starts to get all like, hey man, y'all, right? He starts to do all that y'all stuff, right? He starts to put on his fucking weird black accent. And then when a couple of black guys from the UK come to the fucking to Fire and the Kid show, suddenly he starts using fucking he starts using insults from England. Like, what a weird guy. Like, again, we all do this in a way, right? We all kind of, you know, mimic our environment, you know, to make ourselves feel more comfortable and make people around us feel comfortable. But this man is early 40s doing this with kids and a wife and shit. It's a bit ridiculous, right? You should be already secure in yourself. You don't need to fucking, I don't know. It's just strange. Let's continue.
Oh, it never leaves. It never leaves. And that's why consistency. Sorry to interrupt you, but that's why consistency so important, man.
Oh, yeah.
Because I'm the same. I have certain podcasts that I listen to, and if it's not there when I'm hoping, I'm like, motherfucker, you get so down because it's like it's a routine thing,
important
and you're
part of people's
banking on
lives,
these
yeah.
guys getting it done.
The guest comes on to give you an honest, if not a bit rehearsed, compliment in a very rare, touching moment. And instead of you just letting them give you your flowers, right? In this really rare instance where somebody in your own industry is kind of giving you your flowers and saying, hey, you guys mattered. At one point, you guys mattered and you meant a lot to me. And this is why I'm going to let you guys know that you played a role in why it was, whatever it may be. Just let them say uninterrupted. I'm not going to interrupt you again. You already interrupted him, brother. And this is why sometimes I think Rogan doesn't get his credit. Rogan can be really annoying sometimes, and even more so nowadays that the older he's become. Or the older he gets, he obviously has become more annoying. But one thing about Rogan that we take for granted is his ability to let other people compliment him. Like, he doesn't interrupt them. He just lets them say what they want to say. He doesn't really linger on it too much, and he just kind of continues on. But he lets them just compliment him. Like, hey, this show means a lot to me. I'm really happy I'm here. This is a big deal. I used to do this. I used to listen to your show when I was stacking shelves and stuff. But whatever. He just lets them kind of give him a compliment, and then he kind of moves on. But this motherfucker, like, he's trying to use their he's trying to use this instance where they're giving him a compliment as a teaching moment. Like, again, it's taken out of context. Maybe there's a bit that I missed on this clip where they're maybe talking about podcasting and shit, but I just think when people start to give you compliments or start to give you your flowers or want to just give you some praise, let them do so, especially in this sort of environment, especially with these two guys who are usually getting mostly hate. Just allow them to just give you compliments. Don't then try to turn it into like, hey, I'm your mentor. Remember, it's about consistency. It's like, what? What? One more time, and then we can move. One more time, I promise you. One more time, one more time, because this is great.
Appreciate that.
I was saying to Fiat the other day, I struggle with a lot of imposter syndrome. Sometimes when people will send us in messages like, oh, bro, like, you really, really, really helped me. Like, these drives to work and these commutes to work, like, it's just the worst thing in the entire world, and I hate it. But the only thing is, I know every Monday it's going to be a good drive to work. I know that for a fact. And that's something that I can rely on every week. And I feel like an imposter because the only time I've ever felt that is when I was doing the commute to work and I would listen to this podcast.
Oh, damn.
Come on.
Thanks,
For
brother.
real?
Yeah.
Oh, and by the way, I believe him in some respects. It's a bit rehearsed, but I believe him in some, because I do remember. And again, this is the thing that people need to actually remember that is really odd about this, right? It's like, and I keep pausing, so I'm really sorry, but let me just get this thought out, right? These guys have done such a bad job with what they were given, right? They were given a career on the fucking silver platter by being friends with Rogan. Let's not underestimate that. That Rogan friendship gave both of these guys a very, I won't say undeserving platform, but because I think they would eventually got there anyway, but it definitely did boost them. It definitely got them there quicker than what they would have done on their own. I still think if these guys would have met each other, they probably still would have been successful as a pod, because that dynamic works really well, especially in the beginning. But it's not a lie to say that Rogan did, speed up that process. And they still managed to fuck it up. They fucked it up so badly, I feel like, that even though The Fire and the Kid used to be good, nobody remembers that. That's how much they fucked it up. Like, they fucked up so badly that people don't even remember that The Fire and the Kid used to be good. Like, and I'm a proof of it, because I listened to it. It was actually good. And then it went shit, and it's been shit for so long that you don't remember the good times. Like, that's how bad it is. You know what I mean? So when these guys say these sort of things, it makes me think, yeah, I do remember there was a time when I used to listen to the show all the time, and I liked their dynamic. They got on really well. Their differences really made the show good. You were interested to hear their opinions on things. It made you laugh. Like, there were times I listened to the Fire the Kid podcast via audio only, not even watching the fucking video, and I'd be laughing at work, listening to them talk and shit and bust each other's balls. Nowadays, I can't imagine a life where I would ever listen to Brendan, audio is king, and be fucking laughing. It wouldn't happen anymore because he's not funny. Do you know what I mean? That's a really fucked up bit about this whole journey that they've been on. They fucked up so much that you don't even remember the good parts.
Yeah, so big
that imposter syndrome never
that makes
goes.
me a little emotional.
Me too. That imposter syndrome never goes away. If it does, then you're a prick.
I'm so glad
it never goes away.
So glad
it never leaves. It never leaves. And that's why consistency. Sorry to interrupt you, but that's why consistency so important, man.
Oh, yeah.
Because I'm the same. I have certain podcasts I listen to, and if it's not there when I'm hoping, I'm like, motherfucker, you get so down. Because it's like it's a routine thing.
Important
and you're banking on these guys.
I love how he just steamrolled through this, like they tried to interrupt, he just steamrolled through them. And also there's a bit here that I loved where Brian's response is what you're meant to do, right? Brian's response is the great response, personally, in my opinion. That's the, look. Brian's response is a good response, right? Oh, sweet. And he spuds the guy, right? That makes
me a little emotional.
An imposter because the only time I've ever felt that
Brian's response is the correct response.
Is when I was doing the commute to work and I would listen to this podcast.
Oh, damn.
Come on.
Thanks,
For real?
Yeah. So big
that imposter.
I love Brian as well. For real. When's the last time you heard Brian say for real? These guys are so odd. Do you think it's like a LA thing? What's that about then? Whenever they meet black people, they just want to like blackify themselves. Like, what's this about? Why are they like this? When's the last time you've heard Brian Callen say for real? For real, my nigga? No cap. You shitting me? Why is he even saying for real? Brian Callen, for real? For real, my nigga? For real, my G? What? One more time.
The only time I've ever felt that is when I was doing the commute to work, and I would listen to this podcast.
Oh, damn.
Come on.
Thanks,
yeah.
For real?
Yeah. So big
That
props to you
imposter
guys.
syndrome
Yeah, that
never
makes
goes.
me a little emotional.
That
For real.
me too. That imposter syndrome never
That's
goes
nice.
away.
You see that? He tried to interrupt him 3 times. He's really good at that, though, to be fair. Brandon is probably the world champion. He's probably world class and in a league of his own when it comes to interrupting. He doesn't ever lose his point. He's going to make you lose your point, but he's not going to lose his. He just steamrolls through it like 3 times. Look, he just does it again and again. He doesn't stop. That's so sweet. Look what I said. Look. That imposter syndrome. Never listen.
And I would listen to this podcast.
Oh, damn.
Come on.
Thanks,
Hell yeah.
brother.
For real?
Yeah. So big
That
props to you
imposter
guys.
syndrome
Yeah, that
never
makes
goes.
me a little emotional.
That imposter,
For real.
me too. That imposter
Imposter
syndrome never
syndrome.
goes away. If it does, then you're a prick.
3 times. He just steamrolled through. Didn't want to leave it alone. Oh my god, man. Absolutely incredible, man. For real. Brian for real Callen. Oh, honestly, man. Absolutely brilliant.
Prick.
I'm so glad
It
you said
never
that.
goes away.
I'm so glad.
It never leaves. It
I
never
heard
leaves.
an
And that's why
interesting-
consistency. Sorry to interrupt
No,
you,
go
but
on.
that's why consistency so important, man.
Important, yeah.
Audio is king, consistency. What else?
'Cause I'm the same. I have certain podcasts I listen.
Also, I love that he's saying consistency is the king when we know what made his career. You know what I mean? Like, come on, consistency, really? Okay, anyway, but yeah, Brendan and Brian have very different ways of accepting compliments, and Brendan's approach is to, for some reason, remind the people that are giving him the compliment that he's the big dog. It's like, why are you doing that? They love you, you know? They love you. But hey, what do I know? What do I know? Moving on. Another clip here. He just told his guest that he doesn't like guests. I think this is a good one. This is let's do this one. He just told his guest he doesn't like guests. I fucking love this one. Let's do this one, please. Let's do this one. Let's do
When we
this
started.
one. Let's do this one, please. Oh, it's gonna be a good one, right? Oh, hold on.
Started.
Hold on. Oh, I love these guys so much, man. But yeah, let's do this. Let's do this. Come on, let's go.
When we started, is that at the time, most like 90% of podcasts, even till now, we're just doing like guest orientated stuff. And again, I was like, I just don't want the hassle of, for one, relying on guests, always looking for a bigger guest.
There's nothing worse.
Oh my
Take
God.
it from me, brother. When it comes to like, there's nothing worse.
It doesn't necessarily
I think it's the worst
translate.
part of the game. It does, but I think it's the worst part of the game is, and I hate asking people to do
Yeah,
things,
yeah.
and if it's a friend. And it's like when it's just us, that's what it was designed for. And then obviously to grow, you got to get guests. But when it's you two, that's the special
our
sauce.
favorite, man.
You
Yeah.
don't want to keep,
That's our favorite. That's why we only do guests when we started. Is that
So things to digest here. So many things to digest. First of all, I love this position that he's taking without any semblance of like humility, of like being the podcasting goat and king, or being the authority on how to have a successful podcast. I love it. He's not even trying to pretend like he doesn't know, or kind of have some sort of like fake humility or something. No, he's actually embracing the role of being the king of audio, the king of podcasting. I know everything. I did it all my own. I got it from the mud. Listen to me. I am the king and the ruler of everything, which is insane considering how he got in it in first place. Let's continue with the thing.
at the time, most like 90% of podcasts, even till now, we're just doing like guest orientated stuff. And again, I was like, I just don't want the hassle of, for one, relying on guests, always looking for a bigger guest.
there's nothing worse.
Oh my
Take
God.
it from me, brother. When it comes
And again, take it from me, brother. Like, when's the last time you've heard Brendan refer to somebody as a brother, right? Again, he gets into this weird vernacular whenever he's in front of a black person. So again, super funny, maybe somewhat insulting. I don't know if you'd want to find it insulting, if I'm a stretch. Obviously, it's helpful he's not calling him son. That's quite nice, with those weird connotations. But still, absolutely hilarious that he's doing this. And also, I love that he's insinuating that getting a guest on his show is difficult, right? On podcasts is difficult. We understand that, fair enough. But he's also not being honest with the fact that why it might be hard for them to get guests now. In the past, they had no problem getting guests. But once the allegations against Callan were out, Chris was out, the negative, stink around Brendan, suddenly the quality of their guests started to fall off a cliff. It's no surprise that they don't get any of the bigger names in comedy to appear on their pods regularly, especially now since all the, Bobby Lee stuff happened, the Kalala stuff happened, the Ann Liederman stuff happened. There's so much shit around them that most likely other people in the comedy have, decided where they sort of, what camp they stand in and who they're kind of backing. And it's looking like a lot of people have kind of ditched Brendan and Brian. So you'd imagine a lot of the reason why they don't get guests is because of all the stuff that they've been involved in and been accused in. That's probably why they don't get them.
They get, like, there's nothing worse. I think it's the worst part of the game. It does, but I think it's the worst part of the game is, and I hate asking people to do things.
Yeah. And the funny thing about him saying this is because most of his success, I feel like, has come from that friendship with Rogan. Personally, in my opinion, I feel like a lot of the success of The Fire and the Kid was boosted by the fact that Joe would have Brendan on all the time. He still, I think, to this day, has a #1 appearances on there. I think it's like in the high 80s or 90s. He's got appearances on the fucking Joe Rogan Spit, which is insane when you think about how little he has to say about anything, and the fact that he fucking agrees with Rogan and everything is fucking wild. But then that maybe explains this half of itself. But to be a benefactor of being one of the most frequent guests on a very guest-reliant podcast, which happens to be one of the biggest podcasts in the history of podcasts, it's fucking hilarious to then sit there and say, oh yeah, guest, it's not all it's cracked up to be, do it on your own. It's like, bruv, you've never had to do it on your own. You've never had to get out of the mud, ever. You've done it always with an advantage, with a boost, with a leg up with the friendship with Rogan. And that's the one thing that's super, super annoying about all of these guys. It's like the lack of what's even acknowledgement, just the lack of just knowing that that's where you start. It's not even acknowledging, it's just that is your history. It doesn't matter anyway in the grand scheme of things, but acting like that isn't part of your history and that isn't why you're where you're at is really insulting to most people's intelligence, because we all know what we all have eyes. We all know what that pod or that appearance can do for you. And I remember there was a time actually on the Fire and the Kid sub when some people would say, maybe myself included because I was a bit naive and dumb back then, that you'd get the best version of Brendan when you went on the Joe Rogan Experience. Some people would say that. Some people would say that Brendan actually was on his best behavior earlier on when you go on the Joe Rogan Experience, because he obviously looked up to Joe so much and he didn't want to bring some of his bad character traits to that pod, so he'd actually perform better as a podcaster and interview or whatever it may be. So all those things definitely positively affected when he'd go back to his own show, because people would be like, oh my god, he's not that bad actually, after watching The Fight Companion, after seeing him on Rogan, and then go listen to The Fire and the Kid, and after a while they realize, oh actually he is that bad. Do you know what I mean? So him acting like that didn't play a part is very odd.
If it's a friend, and it's like when it's just us, that's what it was designed for. And then obviously to grow, you got to get guests. But when it's you two, that's the special sauce.
Favorite, man.
You don't want to keep,
That's our favorite. That's why
I love how they're saying this like as if like they don't want to get guests anymore. They'd love to get guests, but they just can't get them anymore because they're bad for business. That's essentially what's happening now in their scene. Everybody has left them, Everyone's left them by the side and stuff. So it kind of is what it is. But yeah, I'm loving this. I'm loving this fucking we're the podcast experts type of guys. I'm fucking loving this. But yeah, what can you do? What can you do? What are you guys saying here in the chat? Oh no, there's allegations. He thinks he's having a cigar rifle exchange. Exactly, Shades Cow. I thought we were going to fight. Assad is an idiot. Assad is an idiot. I read that in my head and I realized what you were saying. I thought we were gonna fight. What happened? Honestly, I read it in my head like it was your comment, then I remembered where that come from. I thought we were gonna fight. Fucking idiot. Honestly, these guys thought their friends were gonna defend them from like rape allegations. Like, are you like most of these comedians don't have backbones anyway? Do you really think comedians have a backbone enough to stand by you when you get accused of rape? Like, really? Like, come on, man. These guys are fair weather friends. Like, I think most of us have had fair weather friends in our life, but I think even most of us adults would know if you move to LA, you could never ever expect anybody there to be your friend forever. They're definitely going to be your friend when times are good. Do you know what I mean? It kind of just is the nature of the game. You kind of need to accept it for what it is. But these guys thinking that because that when they were up and everyone was sucking them off, that these guys were actually their friends is hilarious, to be honest. Because I have a feeling, and again, this is my own personal opinion, I have a feeling even if the allegations didn't happen, even if the Brendan and Carlisle and Annie Leadham and stuff never happened, I have a feeling a majority of those guys would have ditched them anyway when Rogan left. That's my opinion. I think Rogan leaving had a much bigger impact on the sort of like fall from grace of Brendan and Brian and Farrah and the Kid, that whole group, than anything else. I think Rogan was a big protection for them. Like the fact that they were so cool with Rogan, so close to them, made everybody else sort of like agree to kind of fall in line. The moment Rogan sort of distanced himself from them and kind of moved away, it was over. So even if the allegations didn't happen, Rogan leaving was a bigger dent to them than anything else, personally. Again, I could be wrong, but that's my humble opinion on that one. So, moving on from that, let's talk about this quickly. So Bert Kreischer looks like he has been actually off the booze and working out a bunch, but in my opinion, this seems like a little bit of an overreaction, not overreaction. What am I gonna say? No, this is my point actually. My point is gonna ask you this: is this a form of what we call it mental illness? Is this like a consequence of suffering from something like alcoholism, where you go one side, you're crazy and you drink it all the time, but on the other side, you then decide to do these weird crash diets, extreme ones that are probably unsustainable, especially for somebody that's been drinking all their lives, right? And then go back to drinking again. Like, is there something very odd about this? Because he's obviously boasting about it. It's like it's a good thing. Like the caption says, I'm down 40 pounds. I haven't had alcohol, sugar for 83 days. I've been primarily carnivore. That all ends today. We set sail in 4 hours for the fully loaded cruise. So Bert's clearly been working out and not drinking as much and lost a little bit of the tubby weight he had from not having the booze. His face isn't as fat as it used to be. And then now he's going to throw it all away just to go on a cruise again. So I'm wondering, is this healthy? Is this like not even like physically, like mentally? Is this like a evidence that he's not all there in the head and that the drinking has really got a mad grip on himself? Because I'm assuming throughout the entire time of his 83 days that he was no alcohol and sugar free and doing a carnivore diet and working out a bunch, he was probably salivating at the thought of having alcohol and drowning himself in booze again. So it kind of takes away from all the good work you're doing. And also, why would you want to throw away over 83 days of good work just for a cruise? Isn't it a bit pointless? But then I think to myself, maybe he did it on purpose, right? In a weird way, subconsciously. You pick a very unsustainable, really drastic diet, the carnivore, to go from eating anything what you want to being a very restricted diet like the carnivore diet is very drastic, right? And probably unsustainable to do long term, especially for someone like him. You pick something that you know you're not going to do for the long run, knowing full well if you stick with it for a certain period of time, it gives you in your head an ability to justify going back to drinking booze and getting fucking crazy, because he does a lot as well, and he's somebody that loves treats. So a treat to him will be like, oh, when I finish this, I can then drink as much as I want. There's something really odd about this, man. What do you think? Very, very strange about this. He's beating his metabolism with viral system and the pulp. He won't hit 80. I don't know, man. I'm not too sure about this whole dying thing, man. I've got a feeling he's going to outlive everybody. I keep saying this on the stream all the time, but I've got a feeling that Bert's one of those weird people that we kind of know in our lives who, you know, that person in your family that smokes fucking a pack of cigarettes a day or 20 a day and they live until their old age. He's just going to be one of the people that just gets away with it. Not obviously, you know, he's not going to, you know, I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, he's not going to die as a consequence of it anytime soon. Personally, in my opinion, I think it'll be perfectly fine, but I'm just surprised he's celebrating this, you know? He's acting this as if this is a win and a good thing. When in my opinion, it just makes me feel sad for him, you know? That he's in a position where he's a 50-year-old man and he's bragging, like, he's sort of like talking about the things that we all know, innit? Right? Of course, you know, maybe not drinking as much as he does and eating somewhat of a balanced diet or, you know, a more healthier diet than before is going to be beneficial to you. And how could you be that age, see all the positive benefits it's given into you, right? Maybe he's sleeping better, maybe he's feeling more energetic, maybe he's feeling more creative, maybe his stand-up is funny, whatever, all these benefits you're seeing, and then you don't want to continue it. Why would you just give it up like it's for a cruise? You know? It's a bit strange. What are you guys saying here? I was told you must be vegan to transcend a different plane. If you're creative, we mean you're there yet. True. Bert has said many times he only wants to stay healthy. You have to keep boozing for the rest of his life. Wow. That's grim. Bert has said many times already he only wants to stay healthy enough to keep boozing for the rest of his life. That's a crazy way to go out, bro. If he lives long enough, it ain't gonna be pretty. I'm surprised his voice hasn't changed. His pink complexion at his age is 20 years too early. Oh, God almighty, man. But yeah, Bert's doing what he's doing. Hey, whatever kind of gets him going, I guess. It kind of is what it is, isn't it? It kind of is what it is. What can we do? What can we bloody do there? Moving on from that one, let's play this clip that features my boy Brendan talking about the Francis thing. What is he saying here? What is he saying here? What's he saying here? What kind of exaggerated nonsense is this guy going to speak about now? And again, think about this, right? Brendan was very, very, what's that word called? He was hating a lot on Francis when he left the UFC for some reason. Very odd sort of like, you know, stance he took on the whole thing, but he was a #1 hater when it comes to Francis. So I'm curious to see what he said about the fight. Actually, it's a little clip, I think, taken from his Twitter. So let's see. This kind of gives you the synopsis of what he's talking about. Let's see what it says here. Put the sound down a bit. Yeah.
Ready for this? The greatest heavyweight at boxing and mixed martial arts is not in the UFC. Who the hell is PFL going to get to fight Francis in MMA? The answer is nobody. So again, be cool, PFL. We can't play grab ass and have him fight some no-namer in PFL just get his rocks off. We're talking 30 million. You can't afford my boy now, man. DC said, bar none, Francis Ngannou is the baddest man on the planet. Yep. Hands down. He ain't lying. Who's going to beat him? John Jones? I'm on record saying this. I thought John would have smoked Francis. Watching Francis versus Fury, I'm like, he beat John.
Why is he like this? Why is he like this? Why is Brendan like this? Why is Brendan like this? Can someone explain why he's like this? He was shitting on Francis Ngannou not signing with the UFC, thinking that he was bigger than the UFC, betting on himself, all these things that he was saying. He was shitting on Francis a lot. Francis goes and proves everybody wrong. And he doesn't even have the decency to be like, hey, I got it wrong, owns up, holds his hands up. He then tries to jump back on Francis's nuts and suck him off by then just bloviating and being hyperbolic with this nonsense. Like, we see Francis doing what he did in the boxing ring, fair enough. But we've also seen how Francis struggles in the MMA or in UFC when he gets taken down or when he has to face somebody that isn't just going to stand there and bang with him. John Jones has said on record himself many a times, Francis is going to be a very hard fight for him, especially in the first couple of rounds. If he can get past those first couple of rounds, then most likely he will probably end up winning. And I think most people that have any kind of sense of the UFC MMA would know that with somebody like a Francis, that could definitely be an approach to go about it, right? If long as you avoid getting hit with some crazy bombs. We've seen John, he's got an incredible chin as well for some reason, right? He's very durable. He rarely gets knocked down himself. So if that's the case, and John Jones is a much more well-rounded as a UFC as an MMA fighter than Francis. He's obviously been tested far more at the top level, especially in the weight class he was before he got to heavyweight. It's clear to see why people would favor John Jones over Francis more. So I can't figure out in my head why Brendan will see Francis fight in a boxing fight and think that would give him any credence to say Francis would beat John easily. What are you talking about now? Like, what is this? An attempt to suck off Francis. You just made the most insane point ever. And it's annoying because I'm a nobody. I barely know anything about MMA. I barely know anything about boxing. I just watch it casually here and there. And even I'm able to figure out that what you're saying is nonsense. But you're meant to be a professional, an ex-former professional in one of the major fucking MMA organizations in the world, the only probably major one now in the UFC, and you have no ability to kind of deduce these sort of things. And it's annoying again because I think I said, like, he's in a really good position being a former fighter where you should be able to offer way more nuanced and interesting takes on things because you did the thing. You did the walk. You were in the octagon. You fought at the highest level. You should be having the best opinions on these type of things, because you're in a very small group of people that actually went to the top of your fucking field, right? Maybe you didn't achieve the belts, but you performed at the highest level that you possibly could. But no, now he's saying Francis definitely beats John. Why? Because you saw him in boxing. What? Honestly, bro, what a weird guy. What a strange person to listen to when it comes to UFC, MMA, and combat sports in general.
I think he beat John. MMA.
Whoa.
I think he knocks him out. I didn't realize how good he was. I knew he was good. He's the heavyweight champion.
So you never had the thinking that Francis would knock out John prior to this fight, when John Jones said himself, Francis has the ability to put anybody's lights out. We know this. But if you can get past getting absolutely smashed in the face and you can take a hit, most likely if you're well-rounded, you could do some damage to Francis Ngannou. Because his takedown defense, his wrestling isn't the greatest. Obviously, he's gotten better over time, as we've seen in his previous fight before he left the UFC. But still, like, for somebody as elite when it comes to grappling and jiu-jitsu as fucking John Jones, you would imagine if he can withstand some of those early bombs, most likely he would do damage to Francis. Anyway,
I didn't realize he was this god talented. I knew he was a freak athletically. I didn't know he was world-class boxing, beat the greatest of all time good. Who did? This is nuts.
So Tyson Fury is the greatest boxer of all time. Okay, I'm done, man. I'm not even gonna dignify some of this stuff. Again, like I said, like, I don't know nothing about sports. I don't know nothing about combat sports, and even I know this guy's talking out of his ass. This is fucking insane. Okay, cool. Whatever. This is fucking insane. This guy is fucking insane. But I also think this is part of his new media strategy. I think he's doing this on purpose. I think part of his new media strategy, because he's not with Showtime anymore, because he's betting on himself, doing his own thing, he's kind of does these, and again, it's a clip, right? It's a clip that's been shared on social media. He does these sort of like, he has these sort of horrible takes and puts them out on social so people can rip into him, gets the clips up and the views up so he thinks they're going to give him more money and puts some other stuff out there, blah, blah, blah. It's on purpose. But unfortunately, he's such a redact, it sounds like he's being serious, you know? That's the issue that he has at the moment. So, again, I'm not going to get triggered. It kind of is what it is. That's his opinion. You know, he thinks Francis could easily beat John now because he saw Francis, fight well in boxing. Okay, cool. Whatever, man. That's great. Moving on. What you guys saying here? After your street, Francis like he was one of CT. Exactly. Brendan's doubted Francis since the beginning of his career, calling him exactly the B-Tech Congo. Sorry, they're calling him Czech Congo, so I always said B-Tech Congo. Czech Congo with Bray, exactly. John would get smoked in striking, but we all know will the legs right way, exactly. If hand jobs count, make you Eskimo. you could play Kevin Bacon game. He's jerk sucks off more. Rapper always hates on Francis and tries to ride his wave whenever Francis pulls through. And you know what? I listened to a clip really recently of Joe Budden on another podcast talking about his history and whatnot and the conflict he had with previous guests, and I realized that is actually a form of gaslighting that Brendan and Joe Budden both share, where they both pretend like they don't understand why somebody doesn't like them. You know, he does. And Brendan does it in his way, where he'll shit on somebody, then he'll act like they're, you know, then when they do something amazing and he wants to kind of like get on their nuts again, he'll pretend like he didn't shit on them before. But then when that person calls him out on it, he'll be like, "Hey, I didn't say nothing about it." He's like, "No, yes, you did." You know, he does that quite often. It's his own way of like, it's another way of gaslighting somebody, where you try to convince them that the negative feelings that they have for you aren't what you have for them. It's like, no, you do have them for me because I remember what you said before. It's very, very strange. But anyway, let's continue. This has to be the favorite one. So this is obviously the title of the stream. Most of you guys have probably seen this clip already, but this is incredible. It's incredible for many reasons. Obviously because he gets the phrase or the saying completely wrong, but also because of the smile and the happiness in his face whilst he's getting it wrong, because he thinks he thinks he said something really insightful, really funny, and really on point and really clever. He's so sure of himself. And I think for me, this is the greatest example of maybe what makes Brendan so insufferable, but also what makes him successful. Because in his head, he's the smartest, funniest guy in the room. Without a doubt. He's the smartest, funniest guy in the room without a doubt. And he believes it to his core. Because he can't hear how redacted he sounds to himself. Or no, he can't hear how redacted he sounds to us in his own head. He doesn't hear that. All he hears in his head is just this amazing, insightful, profound, just amazing, funny dude. He can never ever hear what we hear. So hear what he says here. Hear what Brendan says here, and you understand what I mean.
Come get some. And all of them are foaming at the boxing deck to line up and get their shot at Francis Ngannou. He's the ball of the dance. Isn't it great?
One more time.
Come get some. And all of them are foaming at the boxing deck to line up and get their shot at Francis Ngannou. He's the ball of the dance. Isn't it great?
He's the ball of the dance. It's not even anywhere close to like near the saying. The ball of the dance. And there's a part of me that feels like he probably had this phrase in mind, this analogy in mind before he recorded. That's my just hunch. I got a hunch that he probably had worked up something to say, something quippy that could like be used as part of the marketing or whatever to put out there and shit. So if that's the case, would you want to do a bit of research on it and just make sure you know what you're saying is correct? You got the right saying, the meaning matches up to what you're trying to say. I don't know. Just do a bit of research just to kind of tighten up what you want to say. Obviously not. He just flies off the seat of his pants. He just goes. He just says it one time. One take only king. The No Such Fingers edits or re-recordings doesn't happen in the show world. One what do you call it? One take and we're done. And then he ends up with the ball of the dance. Like, what?
Come get some. And all of them are foaming at the boxing deck to line up and get their shot at Francis Ngannou. He's the ball of the dance.
Honestly, this guy's incredible, man. But I think that's what you need in content creation to be successful. You need to be delusional. You need to honestly think, despite all evidence, that you're the smartest, funniest guy in the room at all points. Even when you're talking absolute shit, you have to sound at least like you believe what you're saying, or what you're saying is actually the truth, or what you're saying is actually correct. You can't at any point, sir, at any moment, let it be known that you are doubting yourself. No way, shape, or form. You have to be like, yep, What I said there is 100% correct. One more time.
Come get some. And all of them are foaming at the boxing deck to line up and get their shot at Francis Ngannou. He's the ball of the dance. Isn't it great?
He's the ball of the dance. Is up there with what's that one that he messed up really easily? What's that one he messed up? I forgot. Which one was it? One I was trying to think. Ball of the dance is like Beg to Differ. Yeah, that's the one. Beg to Differ. Ball to dance is up there with Beg to Differ. It's up there with Beg to Differ. I swear to God. Ball of the dance. Like, guess what? Yeah, how could be? This man's created his own language. Exactly, Assad. The best brains in the business. No, you heard him right. It's like Assad. Instead of I'm the prize, I'm the ball of the dance. The ball of the dance is the fucking best. I'm totally fucking going to start. Say exactly. That's the thing with Brendan. If you watch too much of this content, right, this sort of stuff, or you listen to this sort of stuff, you start to say stuff incorrectly yourself. And sometimes you start to say, like now, I don't actually say the R word anymore. I say redacted. I'm not sure if you guys are the same. I say redacted now all the time because of the whole Fighting the Kid subreddit guys replacing that word with, you know what I mean? That's what I always say all the time now. And sometimes I catch myself saying beg to differ, even when I know it's not the right way to say it because of all this content I've listened to. Like, I sometimes have let chauvinisms influence the way that I speak in real life. And it's fucking awful because sometimes your brain starts to think that is how you're meant to say it. You know, it rewires your brain. It starts to give you CTE. You know what I mean? It's like you're giving yourself CTE by watching him all the time. It's fucking awful. I swear to God. He was on Addies watching the disco ball, got hypnotized, and that's how he got the inspiration for this great quote. Exactly the watcher. Brendan just goes. Big up Leche. Otier says Brendan would claim he knows a guy who invented the first bottomless water bucket and not blink. Can Brendan levitate? Oh, he's a tree. Is he trying to say Bella the Ball? Yeah, of course. What else do you think he's trying to say, Uche? That's what makes it funny. That's the thing. You see what Uche is saying? You see what Uche demonstrated there? That's what I say about Brendan could give you CTE by just listening to him. Brendan says something so wrong, it makes you question if you got it wrong. Or if you know what it actually meant to, do you know what I mean? Like, he could do that. Like, that begs a different thing. You should fire my brain. I was like, hold on, is that how you meant to say it? You meant to say beg to differ. Like, he can, like, his redactedness can confuse you. Because you're like, hold on, has it always been ball of the dance? One more time. I swear to God.
Come get some. And all of them are foaming at the boxing deck to line up and get their shot at Francis Ngannou. He's the ball of the dance. Isn't it great?
He can fuck with your head and make you believe that, okay, no, it's ball of the dance. I love this guy. Bring up something like Velcro, you know he's coming with the I had a fly for exactly. Exactly, Assad. See? I almost typed in Warg the other day. Exactly. People see chauvinism it just takes over. It just takes over. You watch too much of this stuff and it honestly can affect you negatively in the real world. I swear to God. I swear on my life it can. I swear. I'm evidence of it. Oh, Bella the ball of the dance, same thing. But yeah, that's fucking incredible, man. I love it. Look at it, and again, look at the smile. Look at that. That is somebody that does not know he's redacted, you know? Like, this person thinks they're insightful, funny at all times. That is not a redacted person's smile. That's somebody that believes, look, in his eyes, you can tell. He thought he dropped one, like, Chin, I got one, Chin. Ball of the dance. Oh, Brendan, man, what a fucking legend. What a fucking legend. Ball of the dance. Oh, what a fucking legend. I swear to God. Anyway, moving on from that one, let's actually play a bit of Brendan Francis hate, because this is brilliant too, right? I'm still trying to work out where this whole Brendan and Francis and Ngannou beef started. It doesn't really make any sense for me, because if you remember prior to Francis obviously doing what he did now, previously, sorry, with Tyson Fury, and obviously winning the fight, but then obviously being deemed not to have won it on the judges' scorecards. We know how the judging in boxing goes. Everyone's obviously seen that Francis kind of proved everybody wrong by decision to leave the UFC and shop himself around and get himself this deal with the PFL, where he basically can do boxing and MMA at the same time. So we've seen clearly that he's proved everybody wrong in terms of his business acumen and obviously with his ability to box at the highest level. Cool, great, no problem. But at the time when he was negotiating with different fight leagues and stuff and trying to figure stuff out, a lot of people had some reservations around how he was doing his business and about how he was approaching things and about his demands. And I think they were fairly justified, right? Because a lot of the things he was trying to go for in terms of having the fighters get paid a certain amount and getting this and getting that, right? Some of the things you'd think, okay, cool, you can understand why certain leagues or certain organizations weren't willing to do those sort of things for him, right? But I don't think anybody was being dismissive or super insulting or just being a cunt about it, how Brendan was, which is why I can't figure out why he was being like this, because from what I remember, they don't really have a beef. And, you know, he interviewed Francis a couple of times on his food truck show. He spoke well about him in the past, and then for some reason he just turned and started to essentially, I feel like, insult Francis Ngannou's intelligence. And at first I thought it might have been a thing of like him trying to suck up to the one championship guy, because if I remember correctly, at the same time Francis was negotiating the one championship was the same time that Brendan was doing that deal that he allegedly was doing about being the official media partner for the one championship stuff, whatever. So I think he was getting familiar or close with the co-founder or CEO, whoever runs the show over there at one championship. Brendan and him were getting kind of close. And if I remember correctly, Brendan's obviously very bad at not Brendan's very bad at not telling you who told him something. So in an effort not to be like, you know, gossipy, he still managed to say without saying that he was talking to the one championship guy, and he divulged some background information as to the kind of demands that Francis was kind of laying out there. And this one championship guy basically made it sound to Brendan like Francis was being unreasonable. He was wanting too much, blah, 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 blah. So Brendan would then go on his pod and kind of speak about these things on his podcast and make it seem like, you know, Francis didn't know what he was doing. And this is a clip from that time where he's basically shitting on Francis Ngannou. So it's funny to see him now trying to suck him off and call him the fucking ball of the dance when he was saying this about Francis a while back. Absolutely, you know, shameless. But again, we shouldn't be surprised when it comes to Brendan. We really shouldn't be surprised. But let's hear this.
It's not good, man. And I don't know who needs to get in Francis' ear. Nobody needs you. Mixed martial arts across the board, boxing across the board will be just fine. Nobody's bigger than the game. Nobody. The closest person we've ever had that was bigger than the game is Conor McGregor. He has a little more leverage than Francis, right? So for Francis, like, I don't know who you're listening to, man, but this is not going well. This has been a fucking disaster.
And again, let's be fair. At the time that Francis was doing his negotiation, I think a lot of people were thinking, oh, maybe leaving the UFC was a bad decision, because the other fight leagues out there, the heavyweight divisions aren't that stacked. Most heavyweight divisions in any sport, they're not going to have the greatest of people at that level. Unfortunately, it just kind of is what it is. Maybe there might be good fights, but they're not going to be the greatest athletes or the greatest competition. So people may be looking at it thinking, oh, he's not going to maybe improve as a fighter. The fights won't be as great if he's not fighting the UFC, blah, 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 blah. But I don't think anybody was writing off any ability for him to better himself, to make more money, to boost his profile by going and doing other things. But it's just the way that he came across it, you know? The way he came out with it, it just seemed so unnecessarily hateful and dismissive. When again, they don't have any prior, because it would make more sense if these guys have a prior beef, where it's like, okay, cool, it's like, fuck you for life. They don't have a prior beef, they've never had any big issues, so why are you going so hard on him like this? It doesn't make any sense. So part of me feels like maybe it was like some weird jealousy thing, because Francis maybe had achieved a lot more with his like limited skill sets that Brendan basically thinks, because Brendan's always kind of not been the biggest fan of Francis Ngannou. As somebody mentioned before in the chat, he did already refer to him in the early parts like as being fucking Czech Congo with braids, right? He never really did respect him much as a fighter. So maybe this is just his way of like reminding himself of that, or just, you know, making it known that he was never really the biggest Francis Ngannou, you know, fan or whatever it may be. And then obviously like him as well, like a redact, he just believed everything that one championship guy was saying to him, which obviously he's a promoter, so he's obviously going to spin it to make itself look good. But Brendan also, because he went to probably get friendly with that one championship guy, believed everything he said about Francis and the negotiation, when clearly there was probably more to the story. There's probably, you know, there's always more, two sides to a negotiation, but there's definitely more to the story that he didn't realize. But in an effort to be more friendly with that guy, he just sucked him up and ended up saying all that bad stuff about Francis to make Francis look bad and make it seem like he didn't have the chops to kind of get the deal done, when he obviously did. And now, you know, especially after this unofficial win, he's definitely going to be bigger than ever before, or than ever he would have been if he was at the UFC. That is definitely for sure. And he's definitely going to make a lot more money. So this whole thing has actually been a shit show. And clearly, I think shows, if anything, it just shows Brendan's inability to have any really nuanced, interesting opinions when it comes to the UFC and fighting, all that sort of stuff. Because all it took was him to have a couple conversation with the one championship guy, and all logic, all critical thinking went out the window. He just started being a mouthpiece and basically a sounding board for that guy, which is really disappointing. But hey, what can you do? Next, I want to quickly check out this. So everybody's saying, right, that Nadav's show or Nadav's channel on YouTube is terrible, right? I've checked out a few things before, and, you know, it's not for me, but clearly people are loving it because the views are kind of crazy. I was just checking it today, and they're kind of wild. So he's obviously doing something right. So Nadav left Your Mum's House to pursue his own, you know, content career, and he's now doing his own show on YouTube, and he's also got a Patreon. Essentially, he's kind of going for the joke world side of things, right? Where he basically does joke world, I guess comedy, enforcement, those type of dudes, right? Where he kind of maybe takes a topic and talks about it on camera when it concerns podcasts and comedy podcasts and shit. And he's already done a couple. He's done one here called Fans Hate It When Podcasts Change. He's got one called The Most Creative Podcast Ever with Andy Dick. And then he's got this one with Brendan. So I'm going to watch a bit of this and see what he's saying, because people are saying it's not good and it's terrible, but the views say differently, because the Brendan one's already got 208,000 views. The other one on Andy Dick on Tiger Belly, 112,000 views, 79,000 here, 51. So clearly people are enjoying this content. So let's see what it looks like, because maybe the internet doesn't like it, but it seems like his viewers do. So let's check out what people are saying here, because I'm curious to see what this actually sounds like. Let's see what Nadal's doing here. Come on, son. Load for me, bro. Let me put the bit rate down a little bit here. Oh yeah, by the way, I'm getting ads now on my YouTube videos. It's a new thing they're implementing. It kind of is what it is. You have to turn off the fucking ad block, because they are now, you know, forcing the ads down your throat. It kind of is what it is.
Today's episode is about brendanschaub, and although he has had quite a history of extremely poor decisions that affect his career, I would like to say he's made like 2 or 3 choices that don't directly fuck his shit up, and that's what this video is going to be about. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Catching You Up with
Nadal. It's COVID.
I would like to remind everyone to please subscribe to this YouTube channel, comment on the video, and rate it. It helps with the algorithm.
Why is he sitting like that for, by the way? What's that sitting position all about? Why is he sitting with his back up like that for? Could someone explain that? What's that position all about? Why is he sitting like he's got like a fucking run up his ass?
Episode is executive produced by the one and only Colin Haley. If you would like to become an executive producer of the show, you could hit the Patreon link in the YouTube description. And now, let's talk about the man of the hour, brendanschaub. And let me first say, I am not doing.
Also, what's that executive producer about? Is that like a Patreon ad thing?
this video to shit on Brendan Schaub. Personally, I like Brendan as a person.
How do you like him as a person if you don't know him? That's odd, isn't it? No? How can you like somebody as a person when you don't know them? If anything, you should just say, like, I don't mind him, he's cool, whatever, but you don't really know the guy. How can you like him as a person? Like, anyway.
But holy shit, if I told you that I don't watch almost every single Brendan Schaub YouTube documentary that comes out, well, I'd be lying, because all that stuff is fascinating to me. But I would like to say up front that recently Brendan Schaub has made some of the best moves for his career that he has done in years. Arguably since before COVID. Arguably since before 9/11. But look, do I like Brendan Schaub? Sure. Am I fascinated with the amount of hate that the Fighter and the Kid subreddit generates? Absolutely. It's absolutely fascinating. When you want to complain about a podcast that you like, there's not too many places for you to go where people will converse back and forth with you. That's what Reddit was built for. It's wild to think that anyone hates
That's not really, and again, I don't like this dismissive nature that people treat these things. Like, Reddit wasn't designed to like shit on podcast. People only started to shit on podcasts on Reddit when podcasts got terrible. There's podcasts out there that are great that people don't shit on Reddit about. There's loads of Reddits, I can't figure them off the top of my head, but there's loads of them on there that don't get as any level of hate that the Fire and the Kid does, because the podcast is shit. It's not that hard to fucking, work out, in my opinion.
anything as much as that subreddit hates Brendan Schaub. There are YouTube channels where all their content is just talking about threads on that subreddit. And granted, it's done fucking terribly and I can't fucking get myself to listen to it, even though I'm fascinated by the content.
The Dove shitting on other people making content about watching comedy podcasts and then, responding to that content or reacting to it, and him doing exactly the same thing is fucking hilarious to me. How can you shit on it when you're doing the same thing? You're doing exactly the same thing, brother. You just started. I can't watch it. It's shit content. It's like, what? Okay, fair.
I mean, there's been times where my girl has asked me from the other room, hey, what are you watching in there? I'll say, oh, I'm watching a Brendan Schaub YouTube documentary. She goes, oh, you're watching that again? I'm like, no, this is a different one. So I'll be in there in about an hour and a half. But it's not because I enjoy hating Brendan. Like, I don't even like hating Brendan. I like Brendan. But there's something about driving past a car that's just completely engulfed in flames. You slow down in your car, you turn your head, and you're like, boy, that car is on fire.
Nah, but if that's your friend, you don't do this. Again, it's just the fake nature of LA. Say what you want about Brendan, but if he's actually your friend, you don't make a YouTube video looking at or talking about the hate that he gets. You just don't. If that's your actual friend in real life, you actually do like that person, you don't do this. So it's, again, standard LA full of shit stuff. Oh, so can't look away. It's like, if this was Joe Rogan, you wouldn't do this. If this was Bert, you wouldn't do it. I mean, these guys are actually your friends and are getting this level of hate, you wouldn't do it. So let's really put that to bed, innit? Do you know what I mean? You're no better than anybody else out there. Like, let's not try and morally, let's not try and get on our soapbox and make ourselves look like we're better people. You're just the same as everybody else, my friend.
And it didn't always start this way. Before Brendan worked exclusively with the LA Times investigated Kings of Comedy, I actually thought he was a pretty entertaining podcast guest. Whenever we booked him, he was good on mic. He participated in conversations. It was just good show. It was entertaining to watch. But let me give you a quick history on Brendan that really just scrapes the surface, but it'll kind of give you context and the gist of everything else that's talked about in this video. Schaub was born in Colorado and he grew up playing lacrosse and football in high school. He then later on played that in college, and once he graduated college, he was on the Buffalo Bills practice squad. A couple years later, he transitioned to being a mixed martial artist, casted to be on The Ultimate Fighter, where he smashed through most of his competitors. And then in his first real fight in the UFC, he lost against Roy Nelson. Throughout his UFC career, he's had ups and downs, but one thing that I would like to remind everyone is that he KO'd Mirko Cro Cop. Some people might be like, why is that a big deal? Who's Mirko Cro Cop? Mirko Cro Cop was in the Croatian parliament. He was in the counter-terrorism unit. And I remember seeing fights of him while I was in college where he would just tap his right leg and go, right leg hospital, left leg cemetery. And it was the scariest fucking thing you've ever heard anyone say. And your boy Brendan Schaub knocked him out. Mirko might have been past his prime, but to a filthy casual MMA fan like me, I'm still like, holy shit, dude, he just fucking knocked out He just fucking knocked out a fucking legend, dude. That's insane. And after all that, his record in the UFC on paper wasn't really terrible. And then Joe Rogan had the infamous talk with Brendan on what people think is a Joe Rogan Experience episode, but it's actually a Fighter and the Kid episode that was filmed on Joe Rogan's set. And in that conversation, Joe essentially tells Brendan, you never had the makings of a varsity athlete.
I'm watching the fight, okay? As I'm watching the fight, there's a lot of things that concern me. You were lunging with like your punches instead of getting there with your footwork and then launching things from the proper distance. You were like really reaching and loading up. You looked very stiff. Like your movement just didn't look like an elite fighter's movement. You could see the way Travis is moving. He's a bad motherfucker. You know, I was worried about you coming into this fight. I can tell you that right now. This is the reality of it. I worry about your commitment to fighting, and I worry about where you stand. Not your commitment to training, not your commitment to give it your all. I think you have one foot out the door. I think you're looking. You disagree? I think you're looking at where the future is going to take you, and that you can't do this forever. You know, and I think that's a very dangerous place to be. You're a smart dude, and the problem with smart dudes is smart dudes think about variables. You think about the future, you also think about brain damage, concussions. You think about how many you've already had, how many you got coming up, how much damage you're taking in training. When does damage start to show up in your life?
And even though Brendan might have, responded back to some of Joe's talking points, he took that to heart. And Brendan started making a transition from being a professional mixed martial artist to now transitioning into podcasting. After that, it was smooth sailing for a couple years. Brendan just kept on getting better and better at podcasting. He podcasted with Theo Von, Crystalia. Now, Showtime saw this as a prime opportunity to invest in Brendan Schaub on the ground floor. And if you're in Brendan's shoes, everything's coming up for you, and it's hard to say no to all these opportunities. But you can also argue that this is kind of where the string of bad decisions started. So let me paint you a picture in a really condensed, abridged timeline. Brendan Schaub started doing stand-up in 2015. Showtime produced and released Brendan Schaub's special in 2019, only 3 to 4 years after Brendan started doing stand-up comedy.
That theater is fucking huge, bro. Look how well lit it is. Look at the production level on it. I don't know, man. I don't know. Like, I'm confident of my abilities on a lot of things, but there's a part of me, like, this is the thing that's funny. Again, you have to remember also about this stuff, right? Is that if you remember if you remember when Brendan started comedy, he refused to put content of himself up online, because I think he started around the same time everybody was putting up clips. Because before, for some reason, comedians never liked to put clips up of themselves on the internet because they thought, it'll take away from the act, right? It was kind of taboo. It wasn't really a done thing. I don't know who broke the mold first, but people started putting up a lot of like crowd work stuff, and then it became a bit trendy to do so because people saw some traction from it and it maybe helped ticket sales. So Brendan sort of like used that as an excuse to not put up things of himself online. But the reason why he didn't do it is because a lot of people on Reddit and subreddit places were saying, oh, he's not funny. So I guess he didn't want to bring any more hate to himself by giving people ammunition, by having shit content up there. So we never actually saw what he that's what makes You Be Surprised so bad. No one actually saw what he was doing when he was going on stage. The only people that saw it were people that went to the Comedy Store, Laugh Factory, and saw him perform. And obviously his other comedian friends. So that's what makes that's why a lot of people especially on the subreddit, other places, they don't listen or they don't respect anybody's opinion who was his friend back then, because they all saw how bad he was prior to pointing out "you'd be surprised." They would gaslight the fans and make it seem like we were the ones that are being toxic and being negatives, and that he wasn't that bad. And that when a special finally came out and we saw how terrible he was, it was like, bro, you guys have been excusing this for all this time, and then you're giving us lectures about the business of stand-up and the purity of it and all this malarkey. So part of the issue was obviously he took the special too early, fair, but also a weird part of the issue was that he didn't actually have anything out before the special came out. So there was no like, how do you say, there was no we didn't get a chance to like, he didn't get a chance to like soften the blow, you know? By the time "You'd Be Surprised" came out, it was so terrible and such a shock that it was terrible that everyone was like, oh my god, you're fucking terrible at this. And then it obviously snowballed from there. But that was maybe a little bit of a big mistake that he made, you know, in not putting out stuff before "You'd Be Surprised" came out.
3 to 4 years after Brendan started doing stand-up comedy. A lot of comedians will say, you don't even really know what your real personality or your real voice is until you've been in it for at least 10 years. That's where it seemed like comedians started turning on him. He doesn't deserve it. He's way too young for this. He hasn't developed enough to warrant a 1-hour special. And for the most part, a lot of people will agree with that sentiment.
But the quality of it is so good. Watch that compared to Gringo Pappy. Like, honestly, like the level of production that went into this Showtime special was so fucking good. I'd love to know how much money they spent on this. I'd love to know how much money they spent on the show, on fucking "You'd Be Surprised." It must be in the millions. It must be. Like they rolled out the fucking red carpet for this dude. Big cameras, lighting, everything, whole shebang. And then you compare this to Gringo Pappy and it's like, ugh. Do you know what I mean? Gringo Pappy was basically filmed on a camcorder. Do you know what I mean? Compared to this.
But here's the thing. It's really hard to knock Brendan on saying yes to getting a stand-up special produced by Showtime.
He wants to be a guest on The Fire and the Kid so bad, isn't it?
You start buying into your own hype. Fuck yeah, dude. I'm the fucking shit. I'm saying yes to all of this. Why wouldn't I? I've always thought a good dose of imposter syndrome or Dunning-Kruger, or knowing that you're in the beginning phase of Dunning-Kruger, is always a good humbling tool that you could use to just make sure that you're not reaching past your britches. I don't know if I'm using that right. Not only did comedians think that he wasn't justified in getting...
Also, did Nadav really need to quit his job to do this? He could have done this on his time off. He could have just done this after he finished working at fucking your mom. Did he really need to quit his job to do this shit? Don't get me wrong, it's decent enough, but did he need to quit his job to do this? Or is this more of an indication that he actually, like, did he quit more because he hated working with Tom now and shit? And that other guy, what's his guy? The kid from Sopranos that was kind of bullying him, instead of actually doing this as a career. Maybe that's why he quit, because it was kind of out of the blue. You know, it kind of came out of nowhere sort of thing. He quit in the same week sort of thing. You left already. But you don't really need to quit your job to do this level of content, do you, really?
A stand-up special this early in his career, a lot of his fans thought so as well. They started turning on him, and the Fighter and the Kid subreddit. Fighter and the Kid is just filled with people that fucking really fucking hate that show. And it's a fun read. It's fun to see what everyone's opinions are. It's fun to see like how much people hate him, what fucking new things they're making fun of him about. And look, I honestly don't like that I enjoy it. I know that it's a toxic trait of my own to slow down on the freeway and watch a fully engulfed fire just burn for the sake of like, man, it's fucking, you see how big those fucking flames are? Like, that's not a good thing for a person to have. But there was just so much negative shit coming out on Brendan in such a short amount of period of time.
He's not gonna have any opinions of himself, and he's gonna sit on the fence. Okay, cool. I'm bored, but I get it. I think I said before in the stream that I think it's good to have like opposites, right? So if there's gonna be streams like mine and others that shit on a lot of this stuff, you're gonna need to have other content creators that maybe talk well about these people, because I think what I've seen or what I've noticed, there's a large, because I mentioned before asking questions about it in my chat, there's a lot of people out there, maybe some people watching, who don't actually watch any of this content apart from the times that they watch other content creators talk about it. that's actually something people don't really keep a thinking on. Like a lot of comedy podcast fans don't even watch comedy podcasts. They just watch channels that report on comedy podcasts. So I understand if some of those fans don't want to just hear you shitting on stuff. They want to hear you talking about stuff, explaining stuff, commentating or whatever, just like giving your kind of overview on it. So he kind of fills that void in the same way that Joke World does it, right? So you may not like their approaches, but there are fans out there that just don't want to hear kind of quote unquote hate all the way through. They'd rather it just be a bit more jovial. So he definitely feels a need right in there. But for me, he's not really saying anything interesting. Obviously there's a personal connection there because of your mum's house and Tom and all that stuff in LA. He can't really say what he actually thinks because he's afraid of the repercussions and stuff, or the reaper cushions, as Brendan will say. So you're not really going to get an interesting opinion or insight into it. But if you're just a casual fan that not really that plugged in, you don't check Reddit, you don't really give a fuck about what's happening or the drama, you just want to have an overview of what the deal is and what's happening, then obviously that'll be a good channel to kind of watch his channel and see what he's basically doing. But having followed your mum's house for a bit and seen all the the drama around his leaving and whatnot, it just seems like a weird decision to do, to quit your job for this. You know what I mean? It doesn't seem like he's really doing anything super interesting that would warrant quitting your decent paying job that you have a lot of prospects in to do this sort of stuff. But maybe that says more about the place he was working at. Maybe it was getting so bad towards the end, he just felt like, no, fuck this, I've got to change. And obviously he did, so fair play to him. But I don't know, not for me personally. But yeah, big up him. It's going well so far. 200,000 plus people did disagree with me, so I'm sure he'll be perfectly fine continuing on, but just not for me personally, just not for me. Another one I wanted to quickly mention is this is a pretty funny one, because this again kind of speaks against this whole weird narrative it's this whole weird perception Brendan has in his head, where he thinks he's like the greatest guy in the world and he can't do any wrong. I didn't notice this at first because I've just seen this recently on the Find a Kid subreddit, right? But he made some really strange, disparaging comment about this MMA journalist for no reason really, except to trying to get a cheap laugh out of Joe Rogan, which was unnecessarily mean. And I feel like will be something that he obviously wouldn't respond well to if somebody did it to him, but also is a good example as to why some people genuinely don't like the guy. Because I think the thing with Brendan, which I've noticed again, which is something I've noticed from having to watch a lot of this stuff over the years and shit, is, or have wanting to watch this stuff a lot of time over the years, is that he generally believes that he's not a piece of shit. And I feel like part of being an even-keeled, balanced, mature adult is accepting that you have piece of shit tendencies and trying to keep that in check. But believing that you're always the best guy with always the best intentions can be its own form of toxicity, and can also be very destructive in a way. I don't know if I'm making sense, but I think so. I think you have to have a bit of a handle on your capacity to be a piece of shit, and obviously keep that in check. But thinking that your shit doesn't stink and that you're always the greatest guy can lead to what we see with Brendan. So this is a clip taken from the Fight Companion that somebody uploaded, where you see him unnecessarily being a piece of shit by saying this shit about this woman journalist that asks questions and shit. Let's play the clip.
Yeah, it's bad.
Look at Luke Rockhold. He's like, I'll try it. My fucking teeth.
Well, the thing is, there she is.
Bro. She's like, it was a good time.
Oh, come on, man. I don't like this stuff.
It was fun.
Dude,
I enjoyed it.
I love bare
It was
knuckle.
definitely
Come
a
on,
ball
dog.
game, but I had a blast.
Dude, they didn't even
So
wipe the
thank you.
blood off. They just let it stain on her cheek. Look at that, like the.
How did you keep
like,
that up?
wipe it off.
I only have
Who is
one.
this woman?
That's Roseanne Barr's fucking ugly stepsister.
It was such a crazy pace. Like, what kind of question?
Well, they're not getting top tier commentators.
She looks like the
talent over
female from Gremlins 2. Bring it up, Jamie. But
You know,
it looks like that.
It's a very good.
The
That's
female
a person.
gremlin.
That's a person, dog.
No, I know, but this was a gremlin.
Unnecessary, right? So he calls this woman the ugly stepsister of Roseanne Barr or something, which is insane because, Roseanne Barr isn't fucking Rihanna herself, so calling any woman compared to her ugly is weird. But still, it's just not a nice thing to say, especially on the fucking Joe Rogan Experience, right? You're on one of the biggest platforms in the world. This thing is happening there, and you just unnecessarily just again, attacking someone for no reason. So this would be a reason enough, you'd think, for a casual fan to just see Brendan and think, you know what, I'm not a fan of you, I don't like you. But in Brendan's head, if you say that, or if you say you're not a hater, he just thinks you're hated for no justifiable reason. When these are the instances where people can just see you, again, people don't need to consume much of your content. You don't get a second chance at first opinion. They can just see this and think, you know what, you're a piece of shit. I'm not going to be a supporter anymore. I don't like you. So that's a fairly, I think, reasonable approach that you can have to these sort of things. So this got brought to the attention of the woman herself, and she decided to post on fucking Reddit, actually. So big up her. The lady in question, the journalist, decided to get on Reddit and basically fire back at Brendan and said the following. Dare ya? Do you have enough balls to let Roseanne Barr's ugly stepsister and the Gremlins 2 woman on your show? Sure, but I'll pull out the first interview I did with you as well. If you like, I can bring my 5 Emmys and AP awards from network TV. Come on now, you can't be that scared. Game on. So this woman called him out. This woman said, hey, you're saying all this shit about me on the Rogan Experience. Bring me on your show. Let's interview. Let's have a sit down. Obviously, he's never going to do that because he doesn't want to get called out about the shit stuff that he said and done. But again, another example of just Brendan being, unnecessarily a piece of shit to somebody when it's not necessary. Like, maybe you can think those things in your head if you want to, but just having a bit of a consideration on the platform you're on and shit. Know that she probably already got a lot of stick for that one clip itself. But then unnecessarily doing this to somebody on this type of platform is just so unnecessary. And then not understanding why people don't like you. And again, look at the look on his face here. That was all done with the sole intention of making Joe Rogan, his idol, laugh. And the only thing Joe Rogan did and added to it was say, oh, they're not getting the best caliber journalists and stuff, right? But he didn't kind of insult her looks. And maybe he laughed, he giggled a bit, but he did all that just to kind of shit on someone, just to get Rogan to laugh, and he didn't really laugh that much either. So it's fucking hilarious. So I'm curious to see whether or not Brendan will get the woman on his show. I doubt it. He's probably not going to do so, especially because she's been on the Fighting the Kid sub now, going back and forth with some fans here and there. But what you're saying in the last caption says, love when the guys try to bully you, especially when they don't know a thing about you. So yeah, so big up her for putting herself out there, letting her nuts hang in a proverbial way, and making it be known that what Brendan said was unnecessary and not needed, really, in the bigger scheme of things. But again, another example as to why maybe a lot of people don't like Brendan. Again, this is outside of the comedy, this is outside of the fucking undeserved success and shit that some people may think he had, just in terms of just unnecessary things on the platform to say to somebody without, any provocation. Why would you say this, especially a woman in that field? Why would you do that? But hey, Brendan's a great guy, never met him. Great guy, never met him. We saw that. We saw this. Oh, let's look at this. There's this clip is always funny. This clip is hilarious too. I don't know what this is about. I don't know if this is like is like a denial thing? Maybe it's a denial thing. So this is a clip taken from the Fighting the Kid sub, right? It says, my girl. Why do you think Brendan refers to his wife like this? Or the mother of his children? Like, why do you think he uses this vernacular? Is it because he's not willing to accept that he's basically married? Is this how they actually talk about each other? Like, does his wife, when she's talking to, when his wife is talking to her friends, does she refer to Brendan as her boy? Like, what is this use of this word? I'm confused because he does this a lot. Let's play this clip.
This is my thing. Who is they?
My girl's son's moms. The mom group.
And your girl.
Yep.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah, like, what do you think that's about? Why does he keep saying my girl, my girl, my girl, my girl? Why can't you just say my wife and make the story easier? Why does it have to be my girl, my girl, my girl? What is that all about? It's a very strange way to describe somebody that you're about to have 3 kids with, you've been living with for the longest time, you're basically married. Like, why always refer to him as your girl? Like, aren't you guys basically husband and wife? Aren't they technically married anyway? Aren't they've got some sort of partnership, I'm assuming. It's just a weird way to sort of like describe somebody that's meant to be your life partner, especially considering everything he's put her through, to be honest. You know what I mean? One more time.
This is my thing. Who is they?
My girl's son's moms. The mom group.
my girl's son's mom.
And your girl.
Yep.
Okay.
It's just odd. It's just odd, man. I just find it very strange, personally. Again, minor thing to quip about, but I just find that one odd. I don't want to play the whole tune because obviously it's going to get me fucking copyright strike. So let's just remove that. I'm a bigger person for posting it. Appreciate ya. And then I want to check out. We did that. We did this. Yeah, we got to do this one too. We got to do this as well because this one, I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie. I'm honestly not gonna lie. I didn't understand what this guy was saying at first. I really didn't understand what you're saying at first. And when I show you, you're gonna see what I mean. I swear to God. Oh God. Oh my God. I swear you're gonna say it. I swear. Because I don't really watch basketball like that, right? I know some of the players, obviously, but I honestly didn't know what you were saying until I kind of caught it a couple times. Oh yeah, shit, he did recently move team, didn't he? But I didn't get this at first. At first I didn't get it. So I kind of had to replay it in my head a couple times and I finally got it. Look at how he pronounces this name. Like, look how he pronounces this name. Hear this.
$5 on the NBA. Win or lose, it doesn't matter. You start the season with an instant dub.
Eric, you taking the Milwaukee Bucks now that they got your boy, Dame Dillard?
You know, it's looking good for Milwaukee, but I like Milwaukee and the Celtics in the East and then in the West.
That they got your boy, Dame Dillard?
You know, it's looking good for Milwaukee, but I like Milwaukee.
Dame Dillard. Dame Dillard. I honestly swear to God, maybe because I don't watch enough basketball, but I swear that fried my brain. I was like, who the fuck is Dame Dillard? And I realized, oh, he meant Damian Lillard. He meant fucking Damian Lillard. Dame Dillard. I thought he was about to say Dame Dash at first, right? Dame Lillard. Not even Dame Lillard. Sorry. If you would have said Dame Lillard, that would make more sense, right? But he said Dame Dillard is just insane to me. Because he did, like, considering the amount of basketballers out there that have, like, crazy names, I think Damian Lillard is probably one of the easiest names to kind of get a grasp on. And to say Dame, you kind of understanding that maybe Dame might be a shorter version of saying Damian. I'm not too sure if it is, but it could be. You could get away with saying Dame Lillard. You could if you wanted to. Obviously, still not his name, but maybe people wouldn't really pull you up too much on it because it's sort of like, you know, it may be a shorter version of Damian. But Dame Dillard, that's just a completely different person. Like, who the fuck is Dame Dillard? And I love that he's so redacted now that his friends, his colleagues, his co-workers just can't be bothered to correct him anymore. He does it so often that there's no point because they just like, why would we correct this guy when he clearly doesn't make an effort to try not to say the words wrong? One more time.
It's $5 on the NBA. Win or lose, it doesn't matter. You start the season with an instant dub.
Eric, you taking the Milwaukee Bucks now that they got your boy, Dame Dillard?
You know, it's looking good for Milwaukee, but I like Milwaukee and the Celtics in the East, and then in the West, it's anybody's game.
No, it's the Nuggets game.
No, we'll see.
Joke it.
Dame Dillard. Nah, this guy's fucking insane, bro. Dame Dillard. Fucking brilliant. I fucking love it. Absolutely brilliant. It honestly fried my brain. It took me a while to figure out. I think I had to play it a couple times. So hold on. Did he? Oh, that's who you meant. Okay, cool. Okay, so moving on from that one. I quickly want to touch upon this because I think this is fucking hilarious. So most of you won't care, but I need to talk about this. So DJ Academics is now beefing with Saucy Santana. Yes, you heard that correct. DJ Academics is now involved with in a verbal back and forth that may turn into a physical altercation with Juicy fucking Santana. Absolutely crazy. So Juicy, Saucy Santana, not Juicy Santana, Saucy Santana. The funny thing about this beef with Saucy Santana for me is that I've always had the feeling that this day inevitably had to come. Pause, right? And what I mean by that is that I felt like DJ Academics, unfortunately, being a man and being in hip hop and talking the way that he talks, there's just always going to be a cap on the amount of disrespect he can put out there without somebody wanting to check him physically. I think it's just an unfortunate part of covering urban hip hop type stuff, right? Where there's a lot of bravado, machismo, male ego type of vibes, right? You just can't say what you want about people the way you want to say it and shit on them without people wanting to fight you. And I think, obviously also, being a dude, he's kind of super disrespectful as well, the way he says certain things and whatnot. It's just what it is. So it's no surprise this day was coming, but I just didn't think it would happen with Saucy Santana. I'd think somebody else would have maybe called his bluff and said, hey, let's meet up and throw hands, because there's only so much of the verbal back and forth people can do online to kind of get there. Anyway, long story short, this I think started because of the Glorilla thing. It's really random, but I think if I'm not mistaken, Ak was going back and forth with Glorilla about whatever. I think something happened. I think Glorilla maybe went on live and attacked Ak first about his opinion on her album or her single and how she's kind of fell off, whatever. And then at the same time, Ak was also beefing with, I think, Carisha from City Girls. And obviously Carisha from City Girls is friends with Saucy Santana. And I guess in some respects, he was like, hey, stop beefing with girls, beef with me. I'm a man, but all this sort of stuff. Something happened around this kind of ranks. But now it's resulted in a situation where Academics is being incredibly homophobic online in an effort to fucking attack Saucy Santana. And Saucy Santana is also being, in a weird way, self-deprecating and homophobic to whatever, to kind of attack him. And they get to a point where they're both wanting to kind of threaten each other online. And it got to a point where Saucy Santana is now saying that he wants to fight Ak. So let's hear Academics going at Saucy Santana. It's very vile, it's very hate-filled, but it's super funny.
And figure out what the fuck going on with yourself. And we ain't indicting all homosexual people or people who whatever, but a nigga like you, we know you got a mental illness, my boy. You got a mental illness, my boy. You trying to mix it up with a nigga like me. Nigga like me don't got nothing for you, gang. I don't know, like, listen, I'm an ugly nigga. Bitches love me because I got the bread. I got the bag. I got the millions. I don't understand. Why the fuck a bitch ass nigga like you even trying to talk to me, nigga? I don't fuck niggas, man. It's a lot of these niggas go deal with that Dwight Howard nigga and them other niggas. I'm straight Jamaican, nigga. Before I do that, nigga, take me off this earth. I promise you. I'd rather be dead than be rocking with y'all niggas. That's how I was born. That's how I was raised. Nothing against y'all. I'm just...
His voice is cracking as he's saying that too, by the way. His voice is cracking as he's saying that. The thought of him having to be gay is literally making his voice crack. His voice is shaking as you're saying that. I'd rather you take me off the earth, man. I'm not. Like... Academics a fucking wild boy.
I'm telling y'all where I come from. Stop playing with me. You's a body boy. And when we see you, we just laugh at you. And nobody ever duck.
Big up DJ Lake. Appreciate you, boy. Sorry. See, I'm listening to myself. Thank you, DJ Lake 1. Appreciate you.
You and you will never do nothing to a nigga like me. I got my address up everywhere where my headquarters be. You could pull up, DM me right now. You could be there tomorrow. I don't care when you... And if you ever look at me in the wrong way and you look upon me with a Batiman smile,
Jesus Christ,
and try anything, to God be the glory, man. Great things he has done.
What? He's saying he's gonna kill Saucy Santana if he tries to smile at him like he's attractive or something. What's he saying right now? Yo, Ak is fucking wild.
You do a great thing that day, too. You ain't playing with me, nigga. You was a body boy. Look in the mirror, nigga. Stop going on social media. Because they can't save you. And all the fucking bitches and single mothers on Shade Room and whatever else and Jesus Hollywood on Lock and these other places. Oh, no. That's how you step for your best friend. Fuck y'all and your fucking Batiman best friend. Because me ain't no Batiman thing. You was a Batiman man, you know, deal. Period. I can't even.
He's breathing way too heavily and he's getting really worked up. Like, this doesn't really hit the same way it should be hitting. He's really breathing heavily. Like, you know when you're kind of scared and you're screaming. Have you ever done this before? I've done it plenty of times, especially when I didn't know how to fight, right? Before I did my little group on Muay Thai classes, I did my little MMA classes, right? I kind of got a bit more confidence in my hands. But when I didn't know how to fight, one of the things I would do a lot if I got into an altercation is like start shouting, right? It's like, you fighting, start getting really shouty, because you feel like when you're shouting, you're kind of like defending yourself, but you don't actually know what you sound like. You sound like you're panicking, like you're squealing, like you're scared. Like if you notice anybody that actually knows what to do with themselves, anyone that can actually fight for real, they don't scream and shout and holler. They just really, they're really calm most of the time, because I guess they don't really want to get into a location. They're assessing the risk involved. They know what's about to happen, right? They're very calm at all times, but he seems very frantic, It's giving scared. And if he is scared of Saul Santana, I don't blame him, because I've always said, and I think most people always know this as well, that it really isn't a smart thing to try and fight a gay black guy for the most part, because usually gay black dudes who've grown up in the hood have usually, you just imagine, have had a lot of things they've had to overcome growing up in that type of area. They've had to defend themselves their whole entire life. So you'd imagine a gay black guy can probably fight. There's obviously some that can't, I understand. But 9 times out of 10, I'm going to put my money on the gay black guy over the live streamer that doesn't leave his house. Personally for me. Because one guy's been in the trenches fighting for his life, and the other person's just been online streaming, never having any physical altercation with people, and basically blast them online. So if anything, I understand why Ak is scared, because most likely Saucy Santana would absolutely beat the brakes off him, and that's a really embarrassing part of it. He's always, I thought this point was always going to happen to academics. I thought he was always going to have to get to this point where he had to fight somebody. And again, this is not fair. I don't think it is fair. But I think, unfortunately, he took so much shit over the years. There's only so much people will take, especially men, unfortunately. You can't really... I think women have that ability to go back and forth online a lot more than dudes do. I think some dudes just won't have you talking about them a certain way to a certain point. They'll just be like, hey, let's just throw hands. And he doesn't seem willing to do that. So it makes him look like a pussy. That's the only thing. So I thought in my head, one of the things that he needs to do to sort of gain his respect back in the industry, because I think the weird thing about that Aka, I've realized, like, people respect his platform, I think, but they don't respect him as a person. I think you see that a lot with the way with the way Drake treats him. Drake kind of keeps him at an arm's distance. They obviously talk, they communicate here and there on DMs. He knows he's his number one fan, and blah, blah, blah. But Drake never really publicly endorses Ak or tries to jump on his stream or whatever. He doesn't really reciprocate any of that love back. And I think that's a real representation of how he's treated in the industry. I think people respect his platform, but they don't like him or respect him. So I think if you wanted that respect back, what he should have done, personally, especially after the whole Migos thing where he's like fiddling with the microphone all scared, and after the Vic Mensa thing, I think what he should have done was pick anybody, go at somebody random, and then just buck up for a fight. Even if it was Rory Moore, somebody, he should have just fought somebody, and then he should, to reassert his sort of like his manhood, to get his pride back, to get his respect from people. He needed to fight somebody. So the fact that now he has to fight Saucy Santana, or be looked at as a pussy for the rest of his life, is really tragic, right? Because if he does end up fighting Saucy Santana, I have a feeling Saucy Santana is going to beat him up. So if you try and fight somebody to save your reputation, you end up fighting a gay guy who probably will beat you up. If you beat up the gay guy, you still lose on the internet because you beat up a gay guy. So you're in a lose-lose situation. That's what happens when you talk shit the way he does with that level of venom, because it all comes across a bit condescending, a bit insulting, dismissive, you know what I mean? So he's kind of, it's his own situation. He's kind of fucked up himself, but I love this kind of new storyline that's progressing now.
Say what I really want to say, because I'm telling you, I was born in Spanish Town Hospital in Jamaica, nigga. I grew up and I seen the worst things in my life. When I came over here, I had to be tolerant, and a bati boys like motherfucking Saucy Santana. Nigga like that would never, I swear, if he was in Jamaica, I swear he would never be able to speak like this to me without real repercussions. But of course, we in America, so everybody exists. So I gotta smile and I gotta laugh, and this is cool.
Jesus Christ.
But when you're talking about you looking for me, Bati boy, I mean, no, Bati one thing. So when you're looking for me, just make sure you realize you just playing this internet game. Because if you really want to know where I'm at, nigga, 888, nigga, Newark Avenue, Jersey City, New Jersey, nigga. That's where my headquarters are. I've been saying this mad times. You show up there with any type of disrespect, any type of Batiman vibes, and it's going to be a fucking movie.
What?
Even worse for you, because I'm telling you, I don't deal with Batiman ting, dog.
Is he just saying he's going to air out the ting if Susan Santana pulls up? He's going to blow his head off his shoulders. If Susan Santana pulls up and goes, hey, he's going to blow, he's going to blow his head off his shoulders. Whoa, okay.
You as a person, you as an entity, the way you exist, the person you are, the spirit you are, nigga. Only thing I could ever do is pray for a nigga like you. But if you want to really try to get it in,
Jesus
tell
Christ.
you where I'm at, nigga. Straight up, we can get it up. You don't want to do it. Don't tell me to come to your party. Fuck Carisha. Diddy ain't finna say nothing to me. Fuck you, nigga. You pull up to where I'm at. I'm telling you where I'm at. Nigga, why am I walking around looking for a fucking Batiman? You come look for me if you got a problem.
Academics is crazy, bro.
The address don't change. The timing don't change. You could communicate to me directly. But I bet you won't do that because what you think you finna come do there, it's not gonna happen there.
Anyway, that's what he said. Now let's see Saul Santana's reply because his reply is really good. Let's see. Saul Santana's reply is really good. It's really funny.
Academics, you keep talking about what the fuck Carisha said to you, what the fuck, how Carisha felt about you, is how she felt about you. Me being her best friend, that don't have nothing to fucking do with me. In the hood, and in a lot of urban cultures, when you see boys that are acting feminine, that are being messy, that are being extra and doing fag shit, that's what you address them as. Even as me being a gay man, I don't move like a fag. And it's a lot of other gay boys that's feminine or whatever, but everybody don't move like fags. You move like a fag, and that's why.
That's probably the worst insult you could receive, isn't it, right? From someone like a Saul Santana. He's basically telling you you're moist. Imagine. He's telling you you're moist. Which is hilarious, to be honest. It's fucking incredible insult, to be fair. You're the moist one. Why are you talking about women? He's basically saying, look, I'm a gay guy and I don't even talk about women as much as you do. You're out here acting way moist than I am.
Why bitches is always calling you that. It don't have nothing to do with nobody else. You always on the internet starting shit with bitches. I wake up this morning, you starting shit with Glorilla, a girl. What the fuck is you buying?
To be fair, I don't think that's fair. And I think this is the facts of it. Academics is it's not fair because Academics doesn't do this to only girls. He is quite mouthy, no pun intended, to everybody. That's his problem. He does talk shit about everybody, and then when it comes to him, he tries to, like, you know, obviously with the ticket sales thing with his live show, he was copying Mad Please, the stuff with his girlfriend stuff being exposed, people were getting, you know, banned from his subreddit for talking about it and bringing it up. Like, he's clearly somebody that can dish it out but can't take it. Cool, no problem. But he does attack guys the same level he attacks women. It's just that most of the hip hop blogs and whatever they may be, urban platforms online, they don't really focus a lot on the male drama because it's not entertaining, and also it can result in some, you know, some deadly repercussions, as Brendanschaub would say. So it's not the most, you know, sensible thing to promote. So they only promote a lot of the girl content, a lot of the girl drama. So if Academic does attack girls, that will get more traction online because most of those platforms are mostly centered around the gossip around the women involved in hip hop and shit. So I don't think it's fair to say he only attacks women. He doesn't attack men like this, but hey, it is what it is.
What the fuck is you doing interviews? Keep talking about Young Miami for you think nobody won't press you up, and that's the motherfucking problem. We was hoping to see you at the Roots picnic, but apparently it was the wrong day. Nobody don't ever know where you at, but we all have public flyers and posters on our motherfucking page. So Tuesday, Young Miami has a party in Miami. She having a Halloween party. Pull up on us. Pull up and come holler. And it's nothing for her to say to you. It's nothing for Young Miami to ever say to you, because she a girl. You a man, you a nigga, and you doing an interview talking about, oh, I was about to beef with Santana, but I had to bow down because I was gonna lose. So you mean to tell me you could publicly bully a bitch on the internet every motherfucking day, but you don't want to get into a spat or a combat or a physical altercation with a motherfucking gay boy. But you like to argue with bitches though. Stop playing with people. The bitches don't play on the internet. So Carisha got a party on Tuesday in Miami, and pull up. If you don't have to say nothing to her, come and address me. Come and address the niggas that's gonna be in the motherfucking room. Stop playing games on the internet and then you wondering why bitches calling you bati boys and fags and punks, because you're drama filled and you only fuck with bitches. You only arguing with bitches all motherfucking day. I'm a nigga, I don't even do that. I'm a gay boy and I don't even fuck with bitches all day. Bitch, I really like to slap the shit out of niggas, bitch, since I was a kid. That's what the fuck I do since high school. I fought boys, I never fought bitches a day in my motherfucking life. I don't even argue with bitches as much as you, and you're supposed to be the straight one. So stop doing all the cap. Pull up, we got posters. Pull up.
He's kind of making some good points. I'm not going to lie. He's kind of making some good points. And that is the issue when you start getting catty as a guy and start talking about women's business. That's why people say generally, stay out of women's business. Because when you don't, this stuff happens. So now, like I said before, Act's been backed into a corner now. If he tries to fight Saucy Santana and he loses, you got beat up by a gay dude. If you fight him and you win, you beat up a gay guy. There's no winning here. That's what happens when you beef with people all the time and you're not constructive and you're a bit hate-filled and stuff and whatever. It just turns into a whole situation. So the other reply though is the best one. This reply is the best one, personally for me. This was the most entertaining one. I think this actually came after the video that I showed before. This is actually not in chronological order, but this is the best one. This is Saucy Santana replying to that video that I showed you of Act going off on him. All right, this is one of the best ones. I love this response.
See what type of nigga we dealing with right now? Pull up to your headquarters. Headquarters. Niggas is in the streets. I want to meet in the road. Yo, headquarters. Nigga, what the fuck is somebody mean you at your headquarters for? That's the problem. See, I'm starting to think that maybe this is your aesthetic. You do the fake internet shit, and then you sit in a room full of motherfucking cameras and trying to make a bitch crash out. You know, that's like, we from the hood. Oh yeah, that's like we tell the bitch, come in my house, because I can do whatever I want to. You don't have to, me and you can meet, we want to meet you outside. I want to meet you outside. I don't want to pull up to no motherfucking headquarters, bitch.
Headquarters. Drake. Honestly, that was so fucking good. I loved it. Headquarters. So yeah. What does Act do in this situation? What does he honestly do? Because this day was always going to come. Pun intended. This day was always going to come. Pun intended, no pause. He always, I think, had to get to this point where he had to fight somebody. You can't be Act the way he is and just not get to a point where someone's like, enough's enough. Enough of you taking a piss out of my first week sales. Enough of you talking about how my things are not charting. Enough about you insulting some video that came out about me. Enough about you laughing about what. Enough about this. Let's throw some hands. It was bound to happen at some point. But it's just unfortunate that this is the situation he's got himself in. Because it's a lose-lose. Because now Saucy Santana is saying to you, hey, I'm not pulling up to your fucking HQ. I'm not going to stand in front of your HQ so you can call the police. Let's actually go and fight somewhere, you know? But then the end part, the bit at the end is going to really shock you. What he says as a threat to academics. The threat is the crazy. Listen to the threat.
Corporate ass nigga. I don't want to go to the motherfucking headquarters. I want to meet you in the club. I want to meet you in the field. I want to meet you in the streets. I want to see you outside. Let's get active. Headquarters. And I don't want to keep even pressing that we ghetto and we from the hood, because we corporate too. We corporate too, don't get it wrong. Bitches is cashing nice checks out this bitch. But we all know your motherfucking headquarters is giving 911, what's your emergency? Bitch, no. We're not doing that. We want to see you out the door, outside in the motherfucking field, bitch. Fuck is you chatting about? Fuck is you talking about, bitch? Bati man, bitch ass nigga. Nobody not pulling up to no motherfucking headquarters. Think this bitch work for McDonald's or something. Stop motherfucking playing with me, bitch. We want to see you out the door. In the streets, in the field, in the streets, in the club. Yeah, somewhere let's get it on. Bitch, that's what the fuck we want to do. Bitch, and after I beat you, I'm gonna fuck you on your ass because you a bitch ass nigga.
Wow. What a threat, right? And that it probably is the perfect threat for somebody that is voice is shaking with fear when they talk about gay people, right? Saying if he was in Jamaica, he would be dead, you know, basically. To then threaten that guy with anal rapage is probably the worst offense you could actually. Academics would probably be way more worried about being taken advantage of in that way than actually being knocked out on camera by Source Turner. The thought of him having to like be face down, ass up with Saul Santana will probably fill him with much more dread than actually being knocked out on video by this guy with long nails and contacts and shit on. Like, this would actually hurt him the most. You know what I mean? And that, I love that Saul Santana used as an insult. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, gay guys, when it comes to insults, when it comes to fighting, you have to be very careful because most of the time, especially if they're from the hood, they've lived a life where they've had to overcome a lot of adversity. They've always had their back against the wall. They always have to fight for their survival, for their existence. So most likely, they have a way with words and they usually defend themselves most of the time. So if you pick a fight with them, you best not miss. Because if you do miss, oof, it's going to be embarrassing.
That's what we do to you. Now I don't want to keep even pressing that we get on. You always motherfucking pressing a BBL, fag. Bitch, you sit on your thick ass. Bitch, I got a BBL, bitch, and you a BBW. That's what you do. You big.
That's a great one. I've got a BBL, but you got a BBW. You're a BBW. Calling a man a BBW is so hilarious. That's such a good insult. I swear to God, a BBW is such a good insult.
You a big black woman. That's what you is. Sitting on that motherfucking couch, chatting your motherfucking gums all motherfucking day, popping shit like a hoe. You always talk about a BBL, but you sit on your thick ass all day. You a motherfucking stallion to me, bitch. Actually, you're a motherfucking bull. You fucking blimp, bitch. Who the fuck is you playing with? Hey, I got a fucking head like you're a clown. You're a clown. You a joke, nigga. You a joke. And you talking with so much aggression and hostility behind a computer for a nigga that we don't see in public.
That's true. There we go. Hey. Lose-lose for academics. I'm not gonna lie, it's a lose-lose for him. I do feel bad for the guy, to be honest, because again, this is what happens when you just talk too much, you know? Eventually someone's gonna pull your chain, pull your card, call you out on your shit and want to throw hands, and now he's in a position where he has to kind of do it, innit? He kind of has to do it now. But if he does do it and loses, the internet will never forget, you know? The internet will never fucking forget. So let's just play. I want to play the end bit of this academics rant. And this, what's the end bit say? What did he say at the end?
I got a great ass surprise of what the itinerary gonna be. I show up there. I gave this address not only to, first of all, I don't even like giving it to a body man because you probably trying to come up there and suck everybody up, nigga. Gay nigga, like the fuck we got talking.
And also the insults aren't good either. You can't be going at a gay guy and just throwing these type of insults around. It's just not, it doesn't hit the same, innit? You got to come a bit harder than this. No pun intended. These are terrible insults, to be fair. Because, you know, Saucy Santana was getting in his ass. No pause. He was getting in that ass. You can't be like, he's going to suck everybody. Like, really? Come on. Like, he could come better than that. No pause again.
About, boy, your own best friend don't respect you, nigga. You over here trying to talk about respect, nigga. Your best friend don't respect you. She's a hoe. Your whole best friend don't respect you. Like, come on, nigga. Like,
Jesus Christ.
Boy, I don't care what. Your whole best friend don't respect you. And she's a side chick, nigga. Getting piped out by like all type of niggas.
Jesus
billionaires
Christ.
pissing on her type shit. She don't respect you.
Jesus Christ.
But you trying to ride for her, come on, nigga. If she don't respect you, nigga, because that's why she's saying certain these type of things. Yo, when y'all say gay shit or whatever to me, that shit bounce off me because we don't like Batiman. Straight up. So all I'm just trying to tell you, if you think you're riding for anything, nigga, don't invite me to shit, nigga. Pull up to where I'm at, nigga. We make the movie right then. I guarantee you will never go online and talk about me ever again.
He's really scared, isn't it? You can tell by the tone of his voice, he's actually scared. And I don't blame him, to be fair. Because I think Saul Santana would absolutely mop the floor with him. And it's not even close. Like, I just don't think I can fight, number one. And I also think that he severely underestimates how good or how bad of a fighter he probably is, and how much incentive it is on to win the fight. Like, he's gonna get absolutely rocked. Like, I don't blame him. He sounds really scared.
Don't do that type of shit. You know, I really think Bati Boy Saucy Santana, you trying to suck Diddy's dick.
What?
There's rumors that Diddy gay, right? You trying to suck his dick down. Okay. That's what I think. So don't let me get into that type of shit. So, nigga, I'll bring all y'all into the mix. I'm really on some shit I really don't give two fucks about y'all industry niggas. Y'all don't cut no checks for me. So, Bati Boy Saucy, until you pull up to my place where I frequent, nigga, and keep that energy, nigga, and then try to embarrass me, nigga, or try to, like, even, you gonna see me walking in and out of that building, try to step to me on some shit, nigga. Until then, nigga, man, keep sucking cock and fucking clenching your booty cheeks, nigga. Niggas fucking you in the ass, nigga. You shitting on dicks. That's your life. That's sad. Understand, nigga. Pussy's so beautiful, nigga. I be fucking bitches like, yo, God, I don't even know how I got. Like, I be fucking bitches these days. I'm like, yo, I feel like I'm an ugly nigga. I'm like, how did God even bless me to even fuck these beautiful women that he created with his hands, by like he took time with them and I get to fuck them? Bro, you fucking niggas, bro.
That's such. Why would you even admit something like that? That's TMI. That's just like, I don't know. That's a weird thing to admit. He thinks that's a flex, but you actually sound anyway. Let's just.
Me and you, we not the same, dog. You's a bati man, dog. And then Carisha, you's a whole side chick, man. You.
Okay, so Academics is scared, very very scared, and I don't blame him for being worried. He's very worried that you know, Twister Talent's going to absolutely fuck him up, and I understand why. So let's see how this plays out for him. It's not looking good so far, but hey, what can we do? What can we do? One absolute shit show from him, man. I don't know what the fuck he's doing there. One absolute shit show. But yeah, Twister Talent's absolutely going for him. He's not absolutely having it, and it's going to end the way it's going to fucking end. But like I said before, I just think, unfortunately for Ak, he had to do this sooner rather than later. He had to basically reassert his male dominance, right? Get back his pride, you know, earn his respect for people, because there's been too many instances where people have basically looked at him like a bit of a joke, and I think this is another example of it. And to be fair, he did it all to himself, you know? Too much talking, too much shitting on people, too much flexing, too much just being a bit of a cunt, has led to this situation where he's now having to basically restore his reputation by fighting a gay guy that most likely will fuck him up, and then having the embarrassment of that being captured on footage, captured on video, because for sure, you know, someone's going to record that and it's going to be shared instantly on the internet, and you will never live it down, ever. Yeah, people are right here. 6ix9ine did rub off on him, but exactly, Leche, you're right. But I think, unfortunately, unlike 6ix9ine, he just doesn't have the gravitas or the bravado to really kind of like pull that kind of stuff off. No one really believes it, you know? No one believed it with 6ix9ine in the beginning, even less so when he snitched and stuff. But at least 6ix9ine had, you know, he seemed somewhat believable. But Ak doesn't have any of that. You know, no one believes any of his tough talk, so he's gonna need to show and prove it, especially after the things that we've seen of him, how he reacts to, you know, situations where it seems like it could get physical or dangerous. We've seen him kind of wilt. So now in the situation, you have to kind of step up to the plate. Will you step up to the plate? It remains to be seen. But again, like I said, I think he's in a lose-lose situation. Personally, for me, lose-lose. He can't win in the situation. People are gonna always clown on him, and you just accept it one way or another. But hey, what do I know? What do I know? Anyway, my friends, I'm about to leave you there. It's nearly 6:30 here on my side of things. So I'm going to leave you and end the show there for those of you that are tuning in and checking out. There'll be another show again I'll do later on today, so if you're around, check that out again. Probably same time, maybe a bit earlier, maybe 12 my time tomorrow. So if you're around, definitely check that out. I'll be streaming again. But yeah, thank you so much for those of you that did tune in. Appreciate all of you that have been here. If you're taking part for the first time, please Make sure that you like the stream down below. That'd be greatly appreciated. Please like the stream down below if you've enjoyed the show so far. That would obviously be appreciated and help me to grow the show and get people to see it more often as per usual. You know how all that streaming liking stuff goes with this sort of stuff. So just like it if you enjoyed the show. Of course, and I'll see you guys again later on today for more of this stuff later on today, and we catch up on some other stuff as well considering. So yeah, big up to stream chat, appreciate all of you. Big up Gian, big up Gianni. Oh yeah, happy Halloween, exactly. Big up the watcher, big up Leche Manuel. Who else is here? Big up Otier, Roy Payton. What you say, AZ? I know the craziest, most interesting story in comedy as of today that you could ever cover. You should cover deadass interest. Yeah. DM me on IG, brother. I'll check it out if that's of note. But I'm not in the business of breaking anything or being too overly involved. If it's something too messy, then fuck that shit. Actually, hit me up on Twitter. I'm not on Instagram. Hit me up on Twitter. You got my username down there. DM me on Twitter and I'll take a look at it. Otia, big up you. Assad, big up you. Gerald, I see ya. Bewal, Guan, big up Booth McGee. Who else is in here? Booth McGee, I see you. Assad, I see you. Many of you I see. Adam McCartin, I see ya. Crash, I see you. I'll go on to Crash, my guy. Everybody are tuning in again. Big up you, and make sure you smash the like button down below for me if you enjoyed the show. That'd be greatly appreciated, man. So please make sure you do so. And I'll see all you guys again very, very soon. Peace out, my friends. Peace out. Peace.